right now. Very good morning to everyone, and thanks a lot for being here once again. And it's really happy to see your faces early in the morning today. Once again, thanks a lot for your enthusiasm in terms of this, the training program. And I hope that you have had great sessions yesterday, focusing on different perspectives of the development of startups. And it's pretty amazing, and I'm pretty sure you all are happy about the yesterday's progress in terms of our training sessions. So today we're going to start with the training sessions focusing on how to find capital through angel investments. When it comes to funding, it's absolutely necessary, and it's one of the priorities when it comes to developing your startups into the next levels. I'm pretty sure to provide you with the necessary guidance, we have Mr. Prajeeth Balasubramaniam. He is the founder of Lankan Angel Network, and also he is the Managing General Partner, BOV Capital Limited, Managing General Partner, Digital Innovation Fund, and also he is an independent director of Hatch.lk. Mr. Prajeeth Balasubramaniam, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to our young entrepreneurs, and thank you so much for accepting our invitation. And despite your busy schedule, and you still accepted because of your commitment, and it's really praiseworthy. Thanks a lot once again, Mr. Prajeeth. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and have a big round of applause to the young gentleman. Mr. Prajeeth, the floor is yours.
Morning again. Okay. Morning again. Can you all hear me? Loud and clear? Okay, I'll start. I'll just go through the slides quickly so you'll understand what we do. Just to give a bit of history, I came back to Sri Lanka when I was about 20 years ago, right? And I decided I wanted to do something different in Sri Lanka, and I lived overseas for a long time, in different countries, different parts of the world. And I'm still, my second home is in Australia, but I choose to live here, irrespective, because I see a lot of, I see that I can make a big difference here. And, in the entrepreneurship world, they say, if there's a problem, be there. Because that's where the opportunities are. No point going into mature countries and trying to do something people have done, right? So from that perspective, I've been here for the last 20 years, and I actually came back to restructure my family business, and then I thought it was too boring, and then got into different businesses. Finally realized there was a big pain point in Sri Lanka, which is nobody's helping startups, nobody's helping entrepreneurs. So we decided to embark on that sometime in 2005. My partners sit out of Singapore and India. And because we are regionally connected, I was able to get them to come in and help us with doing stuff. They're all Sri Lankans, and there are some Indians as well who help us to help entrepreneurs grow in the region. So my focus is purely helping Sri Lankan entrepreneurs to grow, right? Unfortunately, in the last 15 years of our journey, things have gone quite well, but things also haven't gone quite well, right? And one of the reasons for that, and I will tell you, like, if you look at the economic issues today, right, I think it's very important as entrepreneurs you all understand the country's situation, because being in the country and understanding the country's situation is very important, because it's like running a business, right? So if you understand your business, then you should also understand the country's situation, right? And it's not about, I'm not going to talk about what happened. I mean, these are the reasons why it happened, right? So our mindset is all about, we kind of look for, culturally, over the last 74 years, we seem to have this entitlement culture, right? It's about what the country can do for us. I've always asked, what can I do for the country? Not what the country can do for me. So if you all have that, and as entrepreneurs, you all need to have that, because as entrepreneurs, you all are leaders. So as entrepreneurs, you all are leaders, and you all are here to create more jobs, which means increase economies of scale, contribute to the economy, right? So some of the reasons, obviously, you all probably know why we are here, right? I don't have to explain that to you. So I'm just giving you just highlights of the political culture. So when you go to vote tomorrow, you should vote for people who are going to grow this country. You should vote for people who are honest, who are not corrupt, who will bring the right judicial system so the law is equal for everybody, and make sure that you also have a say in whatever you do, right? Because today, if you look at it, after 74 years, we have not got economic independence, irrespective of caste, creed, religion, politics, or whatever, right? So eventually, it's about haves and have-nots. Right? So ideally, what you are trying to do is increase the per capita income of the country. Unfortunately, we were at $4,000. Now we've gone to $2,000. So we've suddenly become a low-income country, which doesn't actually help you all as a business, right? So think of it this way. You're running a business. You're borrowing. Each of you are looking at getting money in, right? And let's say you're doling out money from the borrowed money to give perks to your employees, right? Free insurance, free hospital care, free this, free that. But it's all on borrowed money. You finish that somewhere because you can't borrow. Your company is not bringing revenue in, right? If your company is not bringing revenue in, and if you're borrowing and giving, you're going to go bankrupt very fast. That's the situation in the country as well, right? So you have to understand that the biggest thing that you can ever do is bring revenue in from your manufacturing or from your sales. Because without that, no investor is going to come in. So if I give parallel to the country, IMF won't come in until the country shows that we have revenue, until the country shows that we have restructured. We have put the hole in we have put a cork in the hole so that it's not sinking anymore. The stick is not sinking. So very important to understand what restructure is. Restructure is about not having a sinking ship so that you can continue to build that ship to be bigger and go to many other countries in that ship by getting investments to build, right? Very simple analogy. So the next slide is about how do we overcome the current situation. I'm just spending about 2 minutes on this, on the country situation, because as entrepreneurs, it is very, very important that you understand where we were and where the country needs to be and how you all can help the country to go there, right? So obviously, like everybody now today is saying IMF is important. It has always been important. I don't know why we hadn't done it, but it's going to be much more difficult now to tie up with the IMF because we have gone in a worse situation. It's like you in your business tying up in a bank when you have little money and no money. When you have no money, it's going to be much more harder to go and get a loan or a quota. You probably have to give your house, which is what we are also doing. We are giving half our land to different people as collateral to. That's also selling our assets, right? So it's very, very important to understand that. Restructuring important. Stability to the foreign exchange rates are important. Today, everyone wants dollars. Why? Because we can't import goods. If you can't import, I was talking to a guy who was doing drones. He was saying it's got very expensive now to import certain items into the country. You know, so even to travel overseas, it becomes unaffordable for a lot of people, right? Very important to understand that the state-owned enterprise have to be restructured. Unfortunately, the unions in the country are so strong, they don't allow it to happen. Who pays for it? Us, all of us, through the tax money. Because there's so much inefficiencies, whether it's the electricity board or whether it's Sri Lankan Airlines, there's so much inefficiencies, they need to be privatized because governments cannot run private companies. So I'll give you parallels with Malaysia and Singapore. There is something called Temasek Holding in Singapore. There is something called Khazanah in Malaysia. Both are private funds, run privately. Government has arm's length deal. The biggest taxpayer to the government is Temasek. Because they run it privately, they run all the Singapore Airlines, everything is run through Temasek. They have a CEO that runs it privately. Government only collects money, arm's length deal. Government owns it but collects money and arm's length deal. So that's a very good structure to have even for here, right? Whether it may be, I don't know, Yahapalana fund or whatever the fund may be, maybe we should go down that path in terms of looking at things like that. The others are pretty much exports strategy is very clear. We need to focus on that. So as entrepreneurs, wherever we can export, we should look at it. Of course, Sri Lanka is an ideal test market. So for digital nomads, we've been voted #1. So a lot of people out there are looking to come into Sri Lanka and live here. Unfortunately, things are still not very conducive, but we are looking to make that happen through our private networks, right? It's going to go. So very clear with entrepreneurs, those are the stats. You all contribute 52% to the GDP, right? And 45% employment. And out of that, I think 29, 30, close to about 35% of the businesses are owned by women, right? So it's very important to be inclusive, even for differently able people, to bring them in and be very inclusive in terms of how we do things, because the world is looking at funding, sustainability, impact. So if you go and talk to people like the IFC, International Finance Company, which is part of the World Bank, or there are a lot of other companies that come in, like this German company which is sponsoring this today. These guys always look for impact, sustainability. So it's always good in your business also to do something that is sustainable, that has a little bit of corporate responsibility, in some way. So just to give an example, with, I don't know if you all have heard of RO Global, RO Media. RO is in the vernacular content. They do, they're in media and studio. We actually funded that company, and the company has gone global. So they are basically in Singapore and Bangladesh. They made a good profit this year. So 10% of the profits went towards Lady Ridgeway Hospital. It went towards the Ministry of Health, and a lot of rations went out. So that way, RO was doing its part in different. So that's one part of it. The other part is, in terms of employing people, also being very equal in terms of how they employ, right? So it's important as entrepreneurs, you all realize that as well. Right. Now I'll go into the startup ecosystem, right? So when I pitch out there globally, you should be doing the same thing as well. Why Sri Lanka? Why invest in you? This is something very important to understand. When you are talking to any investor, it's very important how you market yourself, right? First you talk about the country, and then you talk about yourself. Today it's a little, I think it's a bit difficult to talk about the country because of where it is, but I still do it. I still do it, right? So, of course, geopolitically, we are very greatly located in terms of doing business, right? You are looking at 7 to 8 trillion worth of revenue within a 5 to 6 hour flying time. That's fantastic, right? I mean, you don't have to go to the States to market. I mean, it's okay if you go there, but you also have to understand that if you can look at India, China, Indonesia, Southeast Asia, South Asia, big market, you don't have to travel much. You can actually go into those regions. Of course, we also try to go into Australia and Scandinavian countries because the margins are much better. So if you have the opportunity, you should do it. You should take that and do it, right? Again, we are very export-oriented growth. Initiatives by ICT has been quite a bit. So your business, however traditional it may be, let's say you've been in that for 10 years, it's your family business, whatever it may be, you should look at how to innovate the product. So as an example, let's say your business is selling apples, right? You're buying and selling, trading. So for trading, you don't need much of investments. You only need the working capital. You're buying apples, and then you're selling. You make the profits. You give you pay your expenses and keep the net profit, right? But if you want to innovate that, you may want to make a different type of apple juice with some nutrients in it. So you may want to do some research, R&D, and you may want to have a manufacturing plant. Now for that, you need some money, right? So if you are going to do something innovative and you want to export it, to go to market also you need money. That's where we come in. We will not give you money to just trade apples, because you don't need the money here, right? Because you're buying, you're selling, you need working capital, banks will give that, and that's it. But if you want to innovate your traditional business from just trading apples to doing something like a juice and then sending it out, we come in and help, right? Because that's where you need the money. And then you can use a lot of technology along with that in terms of You can use technology not just necessarily with the products, but from an accounting perspective, from a last mile delivery perspective. There is so much of technology available today that will make your business very efficient. And that's why we say technology is a tool, it's not a business. Use it for your business to make it right. And that's what we try and encourage a lot of, so I'm part of the SME chamber at the Ceylon chamber as well. And we have a lot of SMEs which I talk to quite a bit, and they call me and ask me how can I digitize my business. So today we are running a program with Dialogue, where we have funded, we are going to be funding, so I think it's been launched next month or this month in August. And we will call for applications, we will select 20 companies, and we will help them get digitized. And this is only the first year we're doing this, but next year probably we'll get more money and we'll start doing it bigger and better, so that each of you understand how to digitize your company. These are just stats. I'll just move through that in terms of ICT growth and where the government is. Again, this is all about digitization processes. The areas the country is focused on in line with logistics, education, healthcare, retail, financial services, agri. Right? So we invest in these quite a bit. So we are invested in agri, we are mostly tech, but we also look at other things. We are invested in financial services through Insure Me and a few others. Retail, Zigzag is a company we are invested in. Then healthcare is Doc 990, again that too. Education, we are investing in Guru.lk. And logistics is, we had a company called Simplex, which failed. But that's okay. We told the entrepreneur, move on, just go and do something better, bigger. Because in entrepreneurship, you will always fail. When I came back, I started 4 companies. I also had my family company, which was anyway very mature, so I moved on from that. But I failed 2 companies, but I sold 2 companies. Right? So it's a mix and match. So it's okay. Failing is okay. As long as you understand that that's okay, then you move on from there. You learn and move. A lot of people, especially the mindset in Sri Lanka, Ayyo, I told you, man, kiwa ne, karanda pa kiyala. Right? So don't worry about those things. Because when I started this business, a lot of people, especially the venture capital space, a lot of bankers came and said, son, we did this in the 90s, it's not going to work. Why are you doing it? I said, you are a bank, I'm not a bank. That's the difference, right? And I had the chairperson of the bank, she came and told me, and very senior veteran. I said, ma'am, thank you very much. Thank you for the advice, and I just left it at that. I didn't want to even argue with her, because I know the mindset was different. Mine was very different, right? So always go with your gut, take advice, don't try to argue with people, but you can always have a good conversation, right? And take the advice and move forward. This is our entire local startup ecosystem, right? So basically, ICTA is there as a government arm, but we generally tend to work privately. For the last 15 years, we've been working very privately. So creating the angel network, creating the venture capital space has been very important to us, and that's what we've been doing on that journey. I will share this presentation with you all. It's available for any of you all to have a look at, so you don't need to take pictures. So this is the funding enablers, or the people who do the funding in Sri Lanka, right? So if you look at it, what we need, the required funding per year versus what is actually there is not a lot. Sri Lanka, and this is where it's important for the governments to come in. When Modi came into power in India in 2015, he created the information highway. He created the Aadhaar stack, all digitization of the paperless transactions, digital currencies, and he put the information highway. With that came a lot of startups, and with that came a lot of money pouring into India. We've been waiting for that to happen here, right? I mean, ICTA, I've been working very closely with ICTA, but unfortunately, chairmen also have been changing very fast. And it's because it's all been very politicized, right? Unfortunately, very difficult to work with the current set of ministers who are out there, right? And even Oshada was telling me, you know, and he's a good guy. I mean, I worked very closely with him. We were trying to do a lot of stuff. But he said, can't work. Very difficult coming from the private sector and working with them. I worked with the Ministry of Strategy and Development 4 years ago. We put a paper together on Sri Lanka Entrepreneurship 2022 with the World Bank. It was a fantastic paper. Nothing happened. So government does not know how to execute, but you guys do. So make sure you vote the right people who can execute it, right? So these enablers, as you can see, we do a lot of work. So as investors, we are there with Lankan Angel Network and BOV Capital. Digital Innovation Fund is a fund that I run with Asiata and Dialogue. We run that locally. BOV Capital is a Singapore, Sri Lanka based fund which we run separately with my partners overseas. And the idea behind that is for us to look at a little mature companies. So at seed level, we invest in just pure startups, seed stage companies. And then when it grows a bit, we come in with the venture capital. I'll go through the funding cycle so that you all understand better. How many of you all have seen this? So, shit. Make a pointer at him, no? Okay. So this graph is more suited for a startup who's looking for money. So if you are not looking for money and if you are a normal SME, you will not go through the value of death, which is down there. Below the curve, you all see that? Right? Value of death is based on the Silicon Valley, where 1 in 10 startups survive, 9 fail. That's the value of death, that if 10 startups go through, 9 companies will fail, 1 will succeed and 1 will go through. And that's the value of death, right? In a normal trading company where you're doing, like, just say selling apples and not innovating, you won't even go through that. You'll go straight up. From there, you go straight up, but the growth will be very slow. It won't go to that point. In the value of death area, you get our money, or you borrow or beg, steal, whatever, and do your research, you do the manufacturing, and you go through the whole process. And when you go to market, suddenly you realize, oh boy, there's no market for my product. How do I sell this? I can't sell this, right? If there's no market, then no point in all the research, all wasted, right? So it's very important to find out your market, your scalability, and how you're going to go to market, and then go build the products. And then you can always tweak it along the way. You know, tweak, because in startups, you always continuously, every 3 months, you're stop, revive, survive, right? So we're basically looking to see, because markets are changing. Consumer patterns are always changing. Right? During COVID, you saw how it changed suddenly. If a tsunami hits, it will change. Right? So in Sri Lanka, every year there's a tsunami. So people are changing based on the cash situation, based on different situations. So you have to be well aware of the market conditions. Even if you're going to a country out there, whether it's Singapore, India, Netherlands or US, Australia, you have to know their market inside out. No point building a product from here for a market out there which you don't know about. Or find a partner who understands the market. That's where the team comes into play. Say if you're just in development or manufacturing and you have no sales skills, find a partner who has that. Right? I mean, most IT companies here look at partnerships there. They have channel partners. So they go into different countries because the thing is, like you go to Bangladesh or Indonesia, Bahasa is something that we won't understand. So you need to find people in who understand that, the local nuances, right? So it's very important to have that partnership, right? So here what happens is you go through that and then you come through at angel investments, that's where the angel network comes in. Then you come out first, second and third stage, early stage, that's where the venture capitals come in, like us. And then you go into later stage, which is once you go into the later stage, you're already a profitable company. That's when banks may start giving you something. Because until that point, banks won't touch you, right? In other countries, there are banks who give development fund, but here we have not, I don't know, I have not seen any. They all call themselves development banks, but they don't, they come and ask your house before they give you anything, right? So that's the unfortunate thing. right? So, and we are trying to change that mindset with the banks, because I'm now working with a couple of banks to see if they can actually create a fund to help you all, to take it forward, so that they minimize their risk because they are working with us and we know how to select startups and take it forward, right? So a lot of these guys don't like to see failure. And I told them, look, you will see at least 5-10 failures if you come with me. But that 1 or 2 startups will negate the failure, right? So any questions on this? Come on guys, I know it's now 8:45, so. Fast. Startups have to move fast, right? So today a product life cycle changes very fast, right? As I said, the consumer trends are also changing very fast. So you need to keep changing the product cycle. So when you're changing the product cycle, you're always in that area because you're doing research and development, right? So let's take Nokia. Great product, right? Today, where are they? They didn't innovate. They failed. Apple's continuing to innovate and they are out there, but whilst they're out there, they're always innovating the products for the next 5 years, for the next 5 years, for the next 5 years, right? So whilst they're selling well, they take about 30% of their profits, put it into R&D. They get some venture capital money, put into R&D, and they're always looking at the consumer trends, looking at what's happening out there and taking it forward, right? So that's exactly what any business should do, right? I mean, put it this way, my family company was in the battery business, lead acid automotive batteries, right? We were manufacturing here in Ratmanad, right? I looked at, when I came back to Sri Lanka, I looked and I told my dad, look, we need a lot of money because the technology will change. It will go into electric cars. And I saw that 10 years because I was overseas, I had the exposure, I saw that and I said, either we pump the money or sell it. Best time to sell it is now because the business is at its peak. Of course, we had our issues as well. So restructured, sold the company, moved on. Never looked back, right? If I look at today, in today's circumstances, am I happy that I did what I did? Of course, because I won't be standing here and talking to you, right? And I did what I want to do passionately. Right? My father said, oh, I built this for you, what the hell are you doing? You want to lead there? I said, look, this is not my passion. This is your passion. My passion is very different. I want to do something that I want to do, right? As long as you have that passion, and in business you will go through ups and downs. And I have gone through that. If you don't see the bottom, you won't know what the top looks like. So it's very important to see the bottom, right? So that's key. Any other questions? I mean, how fast? The sooner the better. Like if you're going to take, let's say in the first year, I'll give you an example of a company that we invested and exited, right? It'll come. Then you will understand how fast we move, right? If you're going to be, a startup is known to be 10 years, and then 10 to 15 years you sell. So by 10 years, you should be out there, almost in IPO levels. Like I was talking about Zigzag, which is like the Zara of Sri Lanka, fast fashion. We were going to go IPO early this year. They were doing, when I met Dinindu, he was a Moratorium University graduate at that time. His wife also is a Moratorium. They had a small shop with a few clothes they were doing from the Apple sector. They were buying and selling, stock lots. So he came to me and said, look, I want to expand my store. I said, really? Please go ahead and do it, because that's not me. He said, no, I want some funds to expand. I said, no, go online. Create the online retail market in Sri Lanka and let's do it that way, right? So now we are, but he always said, no, but you need to have offline. Agreed, because people need to go and, so we have 1 or 2 shops located so people can go and fit on, but our 60% of the sales comes online. When COVID hit, we had online sales. Right now, no fuel, so can't deliver also. So as a result, things have gone down, unfortunately, right? But these companies, we invested in them in 2014, 15, around there. 7 years later, IPO. Unfortunately, the market crashed. So we couldn't do that either. So this is why I'm saying, if the country was booming, we would have exited 3 more companies by now. So in some sense, we are, I don't know, maybe cursed in different ways, but at least the company, the business is going, right? So 7 years is something that you should look at in terms of exit opportunities, 5 years. So in this, there are 3 examples I'll give you in terms of who invests where. So first, in the value of death area, angels, who knows what 3Fs are? 3F. Angels, 3F, seed capital. Anybody knows what 3Fs are? Friends, family and fools. Yeah, because they say only fools invest in startups. So I'm one of them, I'm one of the fools. Right? So, I mean, they say that because, things fail, you invest in this area. But the thing is, look, we also understand what succeeds. So when you fail fast, and then you reinvest in stuff that's moving, right? And then at the next stage comes venture capital. So we have the funds ready to invest in things that are coming out from here. So we filters out, maybe we look at 10, 15 companies, and then out of that, maybe 4 companies we see that's good. So Zigzag is a good example, right? We invested through the Angel Network in 2014, then we gave them venture capital money in 2018, right? And 19 also during COVID years we give them money, and we were gearing them up for IPO, right? Hopefully by next year we should be able to look at exits for them. So, so I'll just run through. So Lankan Angel Network was founded by me. It's not my company today, it's a network that we created for the ecosystem. So there is about 8 or 9, 10 directors in there. The patrons also there. Patrons, we have the Indian Angel Network owner is a patron of this. So we molded it with the Indian Angel Network. So we brought them in as partners to come in. So the first 3 years, they actually helped with a lot of funding. The Indians actually, a lot of the high net worth investors from India came in, like TVS Capital, Takral Group from Singapore. They all came and became part of this, right? So what do we do? Founded in 2012. Backed by, today we have over 100 investors in the Angel Network, locally. Yeah? This is a local fund. We have invested over 2 billion rupees of funding and almost 30 plus companies, and continue to support. The last company we supported was a company called MinPay. We invested in them last year. They've been in business for 2 years. Today they're set up in Singapore. We got a venture capital company coming in, a Singaporean venture capital, who's investing in them as we speak. Right? So they're going places, right? And we introduced K3 Ventures from Singapore into MinPay, and now they are looking at taking forward, right? Our network, that's the kind of network we have. So we have the Global Business Angels, which spans like I think 50 countries. So this year's program that we are running, we are going to get all the entrepreneurs that apply through the GEN network, the Global Entrepreneurship Network. They have a platform to apply for funding and things like that. So we are going to put it through that. So you get not just the funding, but you get the exposure also, right? So we're going to do that. ABAF is the Asian Business Angel Forum. We work with Ford Foundation, and then we've got all the others, right? Facilitating seed funding and follow-on funding, these are the guys that do. There are much more than this. In my fund itself, I have 30 investors spanning from the US to Southeast Asia, APAC. Right? So we have quite a bit of network. And then obviously we have a lot of partners that help with us, legal, knowledge partners and stuff like that. So when we started this Angel Network, one of the things that told me was, like, I mean, with my own business, there was not many people to help. There was not many people to fund me, so I had to find my way through and navigate. And that's when I realized there's a great opportunity here to support and empower entrepreneurs. So Lankan Angel Network was created on that note. So basically we had a lot of programs to create the awareness. Basically we had a massive evangelization process around the country, right, creating awareness. And so the entrepreneurial capability, what we saw that was lacking here was On the finance side, there was no governance. A lot of entrepreneurs were very weak in finance. So that's not an issue. You just go and hire a good company to pay cheap to do stuff for you, right? Or hire, if you can afford, an accountant or a finance person, that's also okay. But as a startup, sometimes I believe if you're just setting up, it's always good to outsource it to. So we've tied up with our knowledge partners, PwC, KPMG, who have a startup rate. A lot of people think PwC is very expensive. They're not. They give you a startup rate. And then suddenly, for you or your business, you say, PwC is doing my audit, investor won't think twice. They'll come in straight away and say, okay, good governance. Right? That is very important. Very important, right? So, team is very key for us. So as I said, you may be a manufacturer or a product developer, but then you may not have the selling skills. So then what do? You go and bring people in, right? But you have to have trusted partners. Because I've had companies fail because the partners did not work with each other. There are various issues, right? We also try not to encourage husband and wife combination. Dinindu was an exception, but we told him, look, we don't want you to bring your home problems here. Because as it is, we have enough problems in the business. You bring your home problems here or take your business problems home. Both ways not good. So very, very clear, and he was very clear. So that was one exception we made. But generally, we don't tend to, when I say we don't tend to, we make them realize, and if they are still very strong enough to understand, then we say, do the prenup agreement now itself. So that we don't have problems after that, right? In case you decide to split, we can't be splitting the business, right? Because we are giving the money, so you need to move forward, right? So those kind of things, the team and skills are very important. And enhancing the availability of venture capital support in Sri Lanka has been very difficult. So that's why we set up in Singapore and got money in. But now what we're doing is with the local thing, we are working with, as I said, we're working with a few banks, we're working with some corporates to encourage them to come into the space. And they are also getting more and more encouraged because they are seeing startups making dollar revenue, right? Export oriented. So it's important that you also have that, if you can, do that. Now Zigzag doesn't do dollar revenue, but we are looking to see if we can actually take the technology and do software as a service with that technology. So that can become a different thing for them, right? Whereas the B2C part of it, the consumer, the clothing will always be local. It will be very difficult to replicate it out there. We will try, but I don't think it will be easy, right? But it will be easier to take the technology. So that's how we differentiate the two parts of the business and try to see if you can get the dollar versus revenue. So when you do that, the investors will look at that as a much better company to invest in, and they're coming, right? So the type of companies we've invested in, like in fashion, consumer, travel, health and education and software, right? So just a few companies are given here. And most of these guys came through a platform which I'll talk to you about in a little while. Then comes to the next stage of the investment, which is the venture capital side, BOV Capital, which is my company. So here, that's the kind of portfolio we've done over close to 3 billion now under our management. Right now, the companies that we look at are pretty much worth about 3 billion. So these are the type of companies that we have invested in. So as I said, Linear Squared is an AI company. We just sold them to India. We actually had an Indian bigger giant buy them out. The founder is still working with the team, but we exited. So founder got a bigger portfolio in terms of working. OMAC is in the restaurant management. Takas also we moved it out to the Ideal Motors, bought it over, and they've taken it over. So like that we've exited a few companies. Digital Health is .990, which does all the health from the health sector. Then we have Agritmix in agriculture. Ensinga, I'll talk about Ensinga later. Imal stories are quite unique. I'll talk about that. And this is the kind of thing that we do. Fund 3 we are doing now is another 750 million. So that will top up our portfolio to over 3 billion, hopefully. So that's how we work. What makes us unique, why people look at us in a different way, we have the entrepreneurial expertise, we have the digitization expertise, and we have the world trainings. So we have partners that sit around, look at where the world is heading, and then tell us, is this business, is your business conducive for us in 5 years from today? Will that take us somewhere in 5 years from today? If it's not, I'll come back to you and give feedback saying, hey, listen, this is going to close. I think you should look at changing it in a different way. And those are the trends that we get weekly. So one of our investors, who's also part of Citibank, he's in the development side of Citibank, MD, out of Hong Kong. They give me weekly reports. Every Sunday I get a read-up on the global trends. So that actually gives me a lot of insights into where things are heading and how things are going. Right? I already spoke about why invest in Sri Lanka, so that's something you all should be very clear on. Despite the issues, despite the political issues or whatever, it's a great place to test your product. Small market. So when it's a small market, it's a great test market. It's a great test market, right? So, and this is the platform that we created in 2012 called the Venture Engine platform. It was the initiation by us, Angel Network and the Indian Angel Network, who molded this platform where we have it once in 2 years now, where entrepreneurs can come, investors come. So we had the program in January. We had about 20 investors from overseas come and sit on the panel. And MinPay got funded through that actually, through that, because they came through they got invested through the Angel Network initially. Then they went into the program and went through the mentoring of 3 months. And they pitched to global entrepreneurs, and this company out of Singapore came and said, we'll fund you. So that's the opportunity you get. And then a lot of others started talking to these guys, getting feedback, looking at trends. And there is a few companies that are talking to people in Bangladesh, people in India, people in Malaysia, people in the UK, right? So they are always... what happens with the US markets is, unfortunately, those guys don't understand our markets that well. Unless you can go there and set it up and then try to do something like what WSO did, right? Sanjeeva, he was brilliant in terms of what he did. Set up there, he made them understand. So for him, all the development is here, and then he serves the US market. That's a different game, and that you can scale very fast, and that's what he has done. But if you are setting up products and stuff like that for the region, it becomes very tough for you to go and market in the US, and you need a lot of money. Now, Kimberly Kitul is one company that we are helping to get into the US markets. Actually, she has got into the US markets, right? Through my partner. So he actually helped her connect, and then they managed to get through, and now she's doing quite okay. But initially, it took her about 2 years to really get the product going, the bottling going. There was it was leaking. I remember buying 10 bottles from her and took, my entire bag was of Kitul. So I had to go and wash my clothes and everything, and it was just, I called and said, look what happened. And so it's a startup, right? So you make mistakes and you learn, right? But so again, I'll just run through this very fast in the interest of time. So these are the reasons why we created the platform. And as you can see, we have the incubator. Today I helped with Jeevan to create Hatch, right? In terms of, so Nathan and Jeevan run Hatch. We help that. I sit on that board. I help people get incubated and accelerated through that. We have programs through GLX with Randula, who do a lot of things. So, so we work very closely with the community in terms of accelerating startups. How to apply to Venture Engine? There's a website called ventureengine.lk. You can go in there. I think the program now will be probably towards the latter part of next year. But we are setting up another program now called Innovate Lanka. That's for startups and SMEs who are looking to innovate. Right? And that will be purely, mostly, I think, we look at both export and local. And any business that scales, we look to see how we can go get funding for you guys. Right? We will be advertising it through, so I'll share it with this, I'll share it with Tilan as well, so that he can actually communicate to you. Just take my email address down. It's Prajeeth, Prajwth, at bovcapital.com. If you don't have it, you can ask Tilan and get it from him as well. Prajwth at BOV Capital. BOV stands for Blue Ocean Ventures, bovcapital.com. Right? So So this is a program that we run once in 2 years now. We just ran it in Jan, but there are other programs that are coming up, and then we can look at it. I just thought I'd show you all this program just to show how we have gone through this, right? This is our 10th year now. This has only got 2019. We should have updated this. It's not updated. But these are the type of companies that went through the finale, right, of this program. And as I said, we've actually funded over 30 companies and 2 billion rupees of funding at seed level, right? So it's quite a few companies here. Not all of them got funding, but 30 plus companies out of this got funding, right? That's Kimbalakitu, the lady up there. She's the one who's doing Kimbalakitu. Yeah? Okay. So just to show you the type of companies that got funded, the companies that got raised further capital, and only 3 companies we exited out of this. Tredsol was one of them as well, right? So it just shows the kind of trend in terms of how many companies. I mean, some of these companies are still going on, right? There are a few companies still going on. So there is, they haven't exited anywhere, but they're still going on, right? Example, actually Zigzag is not here. So Zigzag should be here as well, but they're not here. So it's there actually. It's still going on. They're not exited, right? So please go ahead. Council for Startups. This was something we initiated last year, and it becomes the industry advocate for policy matters. So we are linked with a lot of the high commissions globally. So I'll just go through this with an example. I'll just run through this quickly in the interest of time. The type of support we give: seed capital, strategic advisors, domain experts, shared services, go-to-market, and access to investors. I'll run through this quickly in terms of, I'll go through this whole thing through an example. Right? Networking opportunities, resource pool, and policy advocacy. Right? Again, this presentation is available to you guys, so Tilan can actually share it with you all, so you all can go through this. And if you all have any questions, please do ask. Right? The type of companies we have seen screened, I've seen over 1,000 startups over the last few years, right? We've invested in about 40 startups, and that's the kind of ballpark figure in terms of the areas, industries, right? Just some of the exit opportunities that have happened in the past, right? And the IPO markets. Unfortunately, I don't want to talk too much about the IPO markets because it's collapsed right now, not the best time, but at least you can see it will come back again, right? So it's always waiting for that window of opportunity and then try and capitalize it, right? Again, first generation of startups that have sold out. WSO2 still got funded. Cisco Labs got sold to a Canadian company called Cisco Labs. They were Leapset. They started as Leapset, right? And they went to Cake Labs and then Cisco Labs. Millennium IT, Tony always tells me that he sold it too cheap, but he didn't have enough money at that time. So best option was to sell it to LSC, and LSC expanded very fast. So that was another opportunity. Virtusa, you all know the story there. Everyone got a good exit. A lot of people were happy because they got a lot of money through that. And this is second generation of startups, right? PicMe, Arimac, Ikman, Find My Fair. They are the new startups post 2009, after the war, right? So Imal's story, we invested in Imal in 2018, 17, 18, I think 18, right? And basically how it happened was we happened to see this company. He came to us, spoke to us, and we invested in them. And just to cut a long story short, before COVID hit, so we actually invested 2 years before COVID hit. So that's 2016 we invested in them. 2018, we brought a company in, talked to Imal from Singapore, called Takral Group. And they were talking and they were investing in other companies as well. So they came in and they tried to look at them, Ensiga becoming a customer of theirs. And within 3 months, they were interested in buying the company. Then result was we sold it before COVID, and all of us exited, and Iman started his new company, and we invested in that company also, right? So the new company is called Ifinity. But the story I was trying to tell here is the kind of journey that we take an entrepreneur through is basically not just give the money, but we also give the strategy. We try and give huge networks. So when they sold, they were in almost 7 or 8 countries, right? So that shows how fast you can expand, because when we invested in them, we were wasting a lot of time with the local, I won't mention names, but local companies. And these local companies are saying, okay, we'll give you business, but the payment doesn't come. And as a result, you're always stuck. You have cash flow issues. But suddenly when you go overseas, it's harder. It's much harder to go overseas and acquire customers, but at least you keep getting dollars. And that makes a huge difference to the business. And then the valuation also gets better. You know, so that, so fortunately, Iman understood this because he was mature enough to understand that as an entrepreneur that, you know, going out, and he's been in Singapore, he's got the exposure, so all that. But humble beginnings from Mawatha University and, you know, schooling out in Gampaha, and came through. And so it's a good story that I talk about in terms of how any entrepreneur can make it out there if they have the mindset and the willpower. And he's gone through a lot of ups and downs as well, right? So the examples of few startups that are out there today. That's it. I just wanted to make sure that I finish quickly. So I've just gone over 5 minutes, but right. Thank you very much. Any questions? Please do feel free to email me. It's Prajeeth at bovcapital.com, or just talk to Tilan and he will connect you up with me. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Thank you so much, Mr. Prajeeth, for your excellent presentation as always. And in order to, you know, appreciate your efforts, it's actually, as always, I mentioned, it's everyone's on voluntary basis, you know, doing this service for the young entrepreneurs. So once again, we should be really, really grateful to you, Mr. Prajeeth. So we have a small token of presentation. And so in order to present the token of presentation, I would like to invite Mr. Keith Gunawardhan, SVP. He's the Senior Vice President.
And a good friend.
Yes, yes, I know. Yeah. If you can appear on the stage, I reckon it's better. Yes. Thank you so much once again, gentlemen. Thanks a lot for taking the time. Thank you so much. We are grateful to you. Yes. Before we're going to start the next session, if you need to go to the washroom and all, like you can take 2 minutes. I'll give you 2 minutes.
1. Test 1, 1. Test 1, 1, 1. Hi, eyes. Pupils very good. Right, okay, test 1. Then I the test 1, 1, 1.
So we're gonna start the next session, which is focusing on service mantra, which is one of the innovative concepts from Mr. Dhammika Kalapuge. He gonna focus on customer service excellence culture. And he is the director and principal management consultant of SIPCOM Private Limited. And he is the lead trainer in service quality enhancement, former vice president marketing, DFCC Bank. He's one of the prominent personalities, focusing on marketing and also the entrepreneurial world. Mr. Dhammika Kalapuge, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dylan. Okay, before I start my presentation, I need a little assistant help from you. Can you, the 5 of you who are seated there, can you stand up, please? All of you, yes. Please do come forward. Please do come forward. I need this for the first, the empty seats to be filled. Please do come. Yeah, a couple of you all from these seats, if you can fill it, because quickly. Sri Lanka, this is the problem. We have to get over it. I mean, you are going to be entrepreneurs. Whenever you come for a forum, you can sit right at the back first. But we have to occupy the first seats, front seats. Please, come, sir. Sir, all of you all can stand up and then come and fill the front seats, please. All the other trainers also will appreciate. Please do come. There are enough and more front seats. Please do come. All of you, I want that group to be vacant because there are some group exercises we are going to do. So less groups, we can save time. I'm already about 15 minutes behind schedule. Madam, 2 madams, please do come and sit in front. Please do come. Thank you very much. Fantastic. How nice it is. Come, 3 seats are here. Come, sir. Sir, 2 of you, please do come. There are seats here. Come, madam, you also better come and sit in front. There are seats. 3 seats are here. Everybody sit in a manner where you can see me, right? Just turn the chair towards me that you can see me. There's another seat there. Okay. Fantastic. See how nice it is now. Right. I want every one of you to take your mobiles out, please. Can you take the mobiles out? The general trainer said to put them in, take the mobiles out. I'll give just a minute. Send all the messages what you have to send. Then contact whoever you want to contact, and I want them to be switched off altogether because 1.5 hours, I have to give some bullet points, very powerful to your hearts, and I need 100% concentration. So take your mobiles, take whatever the calls, because I saw while the other presenter was doing the thing, many people on the call and they were sending messages so that it doesn't get into your brain. I mean, every word, every little thing what I say is important. So I want you all to switch it off altogether thereafter. Please, please. This is the way how we do programs here. With CEOs, chairman, everybody, we get them to switch off the mobiles. And ladies, ideally put it to the handbag. Gentlemen, put it in the pocket. Don't leave it on the table. All the slides what I'm presenting here, it will be sent to you. Right? All the slides. So you need not take photographs. There are about 63 slides, and all the important slides will be sent across to you. Right. Please put them into the pocket or just don't switch it off altogether because good entrepreneurs must have concentration. Right? That is the crucial thing. Gentlemen, put it in the pocket. Ladies, put it in the handbag. Okay? And little concentration for 1.5 hours. Are you ready? Are you all ready? Yes or no? Come on. Yeah. Yes. Right. Okay. I'll start the program greeting every one of you. Aiboan. Good. Right. That's the way how we start training programs here. Or walaikum, salam alaikum, depending on the audience, depending on the place where I'm running programs. This is a vast subject, but you as entrepreneurs, this subject matter is crucially important to you because at the end of the day, whatever the venture you are going to start, you are going to end up selling it, providing it, serving whom? Thank you, customer. There got to be somebody who is willing to pay for it, somebody who is willing to buy it, otherwise the venture is of no use. So everything evolves, the cash flows from the customer's wallet. So in providing that, in giving that, how important the service is. This is quite a kind of a vast subject over the last 26 years, right? I had been doing research, had done over 3,000 presentations for over 800 companies here and 14 other countries. So each day I make a kind of a learning about this fascinating subject. So condensing it for 1.5 hours and then giving it to audience of this sort is a huge challenge. So I'm just taking the essence as entrepreneurs, what becomes crucially important. So during that 1.5 hours, let's see, I'm bringing some practical, true-to-life scenarios, examples, to see how well you can apply that to your own business when you start up. Right. The future of business lies in the ways in which how we create two things. The latest research finding all over the globe. Any business, once you start up, you've got to keep this man, the center of attraction, customer in your mind, and start up. And then the future of the business, they boils down to finally two crucial things. And what are they? Number one is, it's about creating a great customer experience. Now, this is a new term. All these days, over the last 2 decades, we have been talking about customer service. Now, increasingly, we are talking about customer experience called CX. During the COVID time, I wrote about 20 articles with regard to this to Daily FT, customer experience. Now, whenever you really want to achieve something as a great entrepreneur, you've got to be brilliant with the basics. Will you all agree with me? Because fundamentals will always remain the same. This country had a wonderful professor who did a lot to the marketing subject. And he put his heart and soul, wrote so many books. And now, as you all know, late Professor Udita Liyanage. Now, I had been to his programs. He had been to a couple of my programs. And each time when he makes a presentation, he always clearly says, be brilliant with the basics. And you as an entrepreneur, you've got to be brilliant with the basics when you are providing services to this crucial person, customer. Right. Now, my dear friends, in creating, even giving this service, now we are bringing a term called customer experience because the future of the business lies on two things. Number one is customer experience. What is customer experience? Is the question. Okay, right. I'm going to show you a clip. This is an advertisement of Brazil Airlines. Just watch this clip. Okay? Right.
Good afternoon, and the 146 is ready for taxi.
Mr. Smith ordered? Just a minute, I'll just check here. He's just ordered.
Okay, go, go, go! Mr. Smith, can you look outside? There's a message for you.
Okay, right. This is a 1-minute advertisement of Brazil Airlines. What happened? Can anyone of you tell me soon? We are saving time. Anybody? What's your name? Nishara. What happened?
They have delivered the message that they're having a boy.
Had delivered a message to the passenger that,
He's having a boy.
yeah, who had a boy? Not him. His wife had a boy, right? Okay, right, good. What was the message? Mr. Smith was flying. And perhaps this ad is all about 20 years. So those days, there wasn't any way of communicating things are happening on ground to the passengers on board. So when he came to the airport, there was a message that wife had just delivered a baby boy. So when the airline counter staff got to know about it, this girl so enthusiastically kept on running up to the passenger to convey the message. But to see, he had already boarded. Now what did the staff do? They are passionate about serving you. You saw the last tagline. Passionate about serving. So what did the staff do? They all got together, went to the tarmac, and excited the customer by giving that message, by coordinating with the control tower and then the captain, everybody, and said that, Mr. Smith, there's a message for you. What is it? It's a boy. Right. Now, did the customer have a wonderful experience? Louder? Yeah, right. And this was communicated. So he had a wonderful experience with this airline. My question, I want you all to discuss in your groups and give me the answer. I'll give you only 2 minutes. To excite the customer like that, or perhaps to exceed the expectation of the customer like that, what was needed amongst the staff of Brazil Airlines? What did they do to do this? Are you clear on the question? To give this message to the customer, what did the Brazil Airlines do by and large? What did they do? Right, okay. Discuss in your groups, or okay, if you take time, just whoever who is having ideas, just give it. What did they do? Teamwork. Fantastic. Right, okay. Teamwork. Okay, what else? Intercommunication. Teamwork, intercommunication. We'll write them. It's very interesting to write them. The hotel staff, are they there? I told them to have a board ready. Yeah, okay, we'll write them. They had something called teamwork. Good. Teamwork. What else? Coordination. Coordination. Creativity. Fantastic. Creativity. Then the next is, okay, you say about communication. Out of the box thinking. Fantastic. So that goes with creativity, out of the box thinking. Out of the box thinking. What else? Presenting. So presenting it. Right. Now to present that, what was needed? That's what we are talking. You had teamwork, coordination, creativity, communication. What else? Time management. Ho ho. So that means they had to be prompt. They had to be prompt. What else? Right, attitude. So how can we redefine this word attitude? We had heard enough. What was the tagline of the ad at the end? They were so passionate about it. Passion. They had a thing called a passion. What else? Sorry? Adjustability. Right. So, depending on the circumstances, they had the adjustability. Right. So, we could prompt and they were responsive. Okay? They were responsive. What else? Sorry? Efficiency. It goes with promptness again. Right time, right way, they were in a position to communicate that. Empathy. Right, keyword. What else? Value concern. What do you mean by that? Aha. They had something about the customer, what they need. So that is go. They're going along with the word empathy. I was to explain that. Your good interests are in my heart and I become a party to resolve it, and that is empathy. Your good interests are in my heart and I become a party to resolve it. So it was a valuable message that has to be communicated then and there. Your good interests are in my heart and I became a party to resolve it. Great. So provided value. Anything else? Sorry? Leadership. Fantastic. Somebody led it. Okay. Now to care that customer, what were the items that were needed? That's what we're talking. Right. Good enough. Time is a constraint. Okay. Now, here is my question. Okay. Now, is it a wonderful experience by and large? Yes or no? Yes. Now, when you create this kind of an experience by going that extra mile, by exceeding the customer's expectation, what happens? Delighting the customers. What does delighting customer means? You are going that extra mile, you are exceeding the expectations. When you exceed the expectation of the customer, what happens? What happened to the customer? He will come back. So when you exceed customers' expectation, that experience becomes memorable. Now, you as a young entrepreneur, when you start up a business, whenever you are selling something, whenever you are serving customer, do you want your customer to be that experience, the service experience, memorable? Then what will happen? They will come back. They will come back. Right. So, of course, this was a fantastic, memorable experience. In fact, I launched a new program on the 15th of March called Service Serves Us. And I had been showing this clip some time back. I wanted this clip again. So when I was browsing the net, I found the clip, and again another clip what they have done just 3 years before. Okay. Same airline, they have done yet another clip. And now I invite you to watch that clip. What does it mean? Okay, right.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Good morning. Here you are. Have a nice flight.
Thank you.
Okay, go, go, go!
Yeah, I found them. They are the
864.
Welcome aboard on your flight is in 501. You're fully ready for departure and enjoy your flight. Mr. Smith Jr., can you look outside, please? There's a surprise for you.
Brussels Airlines, we go the extra smile.
Okay, now what happened? But the next part of the story. Son has grown up. How old is he now? 15 years. Right. So now Mr. Smith had this experience 15 years ago. The message was delivered that he's a baby boy. So when you exceed customers' expectation, that becomes a kind of a memorable experience. So maybe after 15 years' time, he wants to celebrate his son's birthday, right, by giving him some kind of a gift. So probably he would have thought, the best thing what I can do is, let me take him in this tour, in this airline again on a tour, right? And if I can do the same thing to him, how nice it would be. So you saw while checking in, the same lady was there, give the passport, and you put a note, a little note saying that, can you do it again? Did you see that? Now this time it's birthday. So what happened? Exceeded the expectation. Here, Mr. Smith Jr., there is a message for you. Happy birthday. Now there again, did you find the same things happening? Yes or no? The teamwork, coordination, creativity, communication, prompt, responsive, passionate, empathetic, leadership. Did you see that? Yes. What does it mean? No point you giving the service only once. You got to keep on doing it over and over again. So what is the key word? Repetition. So give me another word for that. You got to maintain what? In service. You got to maintain what? Consistency. That is the crucial thing. Now many a time, it's not that we don't have service. You are not going to give service. You will. But it has to be done across the board all the time. Whenever customer is interacting. Now that is the biggest challenge that you have. Then only you can create a kind of a great experience, right? Now let's try to understand the difference between what is customer service and what does customer experience means. Customer service and what does customer experience mean? Try to understand, right? And just bring a very practical example here. Where does the real attraction of a necklace lie? This necklace, look at it. Where is the real attraction? Where is the real attraction of this necklace? Only the bottom part. So if you take all the other pebbles off and if I give it this, are you going to buy that? Are you going to buy the necklace? No. Then? If only this part was available. So are you going to buy that necklace? So then where the real attraction lies? All the pebbles put together. Right. The craftsman realized for this to be this nice, the number of pebbles needed and what has to be put where, isn't it? And how they got to be tied to each other. So all the pebbles, they made it nice. Right. Now what happened? Now the difference between customer service and customer experience. Customer service is at one point what you provide to the customer. Maybe customer calls an organization. The first contact person could be the receptionist. Will you agree? Right. Now, at that point, what kind of a service are you getting? You are being directed to a place where to get the proper service. So, at that point, what is the service you are going to get? Then the delivery point, what kind of a service you get? The transportation point, what kind of a service you get? And then finally, after delivering everything, the post follow-up, what kind of a service do you get? So that overall, from beginning to the end, the experience what customer is going to get, that's going to create a customer experience. So the pebble, each pebble is a customer service. Each person, what you are doing. So to be look nice, so that pebble got to be very shiny, isn't it? So that person must give it to the best of its ability, the service, that person, whoever customer is going to interact. So when all the people do give that service, whether they are big or small, they all make a kind of a great customer experience. So the pebble link are customer service. And customer experience is the whole necklace is the customer experience. As you could see in those two clips, everybody did their job well. Everybody went and stood at the right place to create that memorable experience to the customer. Are you with me? Yes or no? Louder. Yes. Thank you. Now tell me, the question is, where does the real strength of this necklace lie? The real strength, where does it lie? Is it only one pebble? No. Then? Louder. Where does the real strength of this necklace lies? Where? All the pebbles, right? And the necklace is as strong as its weakest pebble. If one pebble is weak, all the pebbles will fall out, and it will never be a nice necklace. So each person at each point, the service what you provide, they got to give the best possible service. Then only the entire experience becomes nicer. Are you with me? Yes or no? Louder. So now the future of the business lies in the ways in which how we create a great customer experience. Service is what you do individually when you are serving that customer at that point of contact. Experience is when everybody put together, what does customer go through from beginning to the end. So the future of business lies in the ways in which how we create a customer experience. That's number one. I said 2 factors. Number 2 is employee engagement. Right. Now, what does employee engagement mean? 20 years ago, we heard these 2 words for the first time, but it was never widely used as today. Today, everybody is talking about, hey, we want employee engagement. What is employee engagement? Okay. Let me explain. We'll go back to the basics. Be brilliant with your basics. When this word was heard about 2 decades ago, along with these 2 words, we heard a story. What is that story? What do you see here? NASA Center. What is the uniqueness with NASA Center? This is a single-story, tallest building in the world. It's a single-story, tallest building in the world, number 1. Number 2 is you find about 2,400 scientists working under this roof. It's a place where you find most number of intellectuals are working under one roof. Probably that could be the reason they have put the roof at the highest elevated position, because their brains got to expand so that there's room needed at the top. So out of those 2,400 scientists, 263 are from Sri Lanka. Can we feel proud of it? Yes or no? Louder? Yeah, over 10% scientists are from Sri Lanka. Now, the story what I heard was then about employee engagement. Who landed on the moon first? Who landed on the moon first? Come on. Neil Armstrong. How did he get to the moon first? By his mind or the foot? Come on. Mind. John F. Kennedy, 1961, when he was appointed as the US president, he addressed the Congress and said, this decade we must make it so crucial to the mankind. During this decade, we must send a man to the moon and must get him back home safe. So the man who is going to land on the moon first is going to be none other than an American. Agreed? That was his vision. He sounded it. This decade is going to be so crucial to the mankind, we must send a man to the moon and get him back home safe. So the man who is going to be landed on the moon first is going to be none other than an American. Having said that, after a couple of months' time, after about 6 to 7 months' time, he went to NASA Center. He found a man who was mopping the floor. What did he do? He just gave a pat on the back of this guy and asked, hey, what are you doing? He said, sir, it's you. So whatever the way that I could contribute to send a man to the moon and get him back home safe, that's what I'm doing. Whatever the way that I could contribute to send an American to the moon and get him back home safe, that's what I'm doing. Now, that was explained to us as employee engagement. He had a broader vision, that guy, of his job, what he was doing. Now, narrowly, if he was looking at his job, he would have just said, hey, sir, it's you. Whatever the way that I could keep this place clean, I'm doing that, because if you make a complaint, I'm going to lose the job. Isn't it? That's what he was doing. But he had a broader thinking about it. He said, hey, whatever the way I could contribute towards and going an American to the moon first and getting him back home safe, that's what I'm doing. I have a question to ask you. Is this guy emotionally involved with the job? Yes. Is the guy logically also involved with the job? Ha ha. So what is employee engagement? Emotional and intellectual involvement in a unique value creation. Not that we are just doing the job for the sake of doing it, but emotionally also, how do we get involved with this job? Understand? Okay. When I was at DFCC Bank, we funded this test tube baby project. You know test tube babies? Parents who don't have children, they take the mother's egg and the person's the sperm, the husband's sperm, and then you just somehow or other put them together and get that embryo created inside a test tube. And then finally you get the baby grown. So parents have still hope if you don't have children. Now this was started and we were funding a project. Funding the project. And there was a doctor called Bonzo who was in charge of that project. We had a press conference. And he's the person who was in charge of the whole thing. He said a very interesting thing. He said, he's a Malaysian-based doctor, he said he was in a flight from Kuala Lumpur to Heathrow. And he was seated business class, 14 hours, direct flight, it's non-stop, direct flight. He was seated. He found a lady came and getting seated next to him. Now, it's a long flight. What do you do generally? When you are in business class, a lady seated next to you, you are seated 14 hours. Your best friend is your immediate neighbor who is seated next to you. Agreed, Kitty? That's right. So what do you do now? You start talking to each other and develop a dialogue. 14 hours of a flight. Then he had introduced himself that, okay, I'm a doctor. Then that lady had said, was a journalist or whatever it is, the job, all that. And then this lady had asked, what kind of a doctor are you? Then this doctor had said, hey, I make ladies pregnant. That's his job. That's what he's doing. He said, from that point onwards, until the flight landed at Heathrow Airport, this lady was not talking to him, it seems. She was turning the other side and doing her work. Then this doctor said, hey, I realized I didn't properly define my job. I was just very rudely saying, in a very quite abrupt way, I was saying what I was doing. That's what I do. But said that, hey, I decided to bring a kind of an emotional element to it. So from that day onwards, he started saying, it seems, what do you do, doctor? He said, I convert a full stop to a bunch of joy. I convert a full stop into a bunch of joy. It had two meanings. Full stop means parents had given hopes of having children. Here where what I do is through this test tube baby, from this mechanism, here where I am giving them a bunch of joy. Will you agree? For the greatest joy that parents have is a child. Isn't it? Right. And number two is that the size of the embryo is just a full stop. So here where I am creating, I am converting that to a bunch of joy. So your emotional and intellectual involvement in a unique value creation. Right? Okay. Now this cannot be done only with the machine. There where the people involvement come in. The people get involved. This is created by people. Let me give you two stories here. Right? My office sometime back was at Galadari Hotel, mezzanine floor. Adjoining this office, there was a travel agency. Whenever we want to go overseas, we had been asking the travel agents to arrange our tour. So you find a guy here called Susanta. He's a travel executive, or visa executive. He travels from Dhammika. And he takes the first office train at 6:20 in the morning, and he's there in the office around about 7:10. What does he do? Visa officer or visa executive. He takes all those relevant documents and go to the respective embassy and stand in the queue and hand over the passengers' applications to them. So sometimes when the applications are not in order, they will say, bring this document. He comes back to the office, meet the passenger, collect them, and go and hand it over. Then they will tell you, okay, come after 4 or 5 days or 2 weeks' time to get the response, feedback. Then he will go in the afternoon to see whether the visa is being given. If not, the other documents, needed documents, he will prepare it and go and hand it over again. He does this every day. I had never seen this guy having lunch during the normal lunch hour. Could be sometimes late lunch, or about 3:30, 4 o'clock. Then when he's free in the office, what does he do now in the evening? He sits with yet another guy, goes through all the documents check, double check, cross check, which he has to carry and hand it over to the embassy next day. And he takes the last of his train, 7:10, goes back to Dhammika. And it's something what he does every day. Doing this job, what do you feel? Is it a kind of an easy job or quite a kind of a cumbersome job? Come on. Painful job. And mind you, he's taking people's passports. For guys who are traveling often, that's their heart. And their confidential information. Salary details, bank statements, assets, shares, they have the investments. Then their marriage certificate, birth certificates, and all those kind of confidential documents this guy carry. He has a briefcase, and office had given him a motorcycle, there where he travels. And up to date, there wasn't a single instance where he had misplaced a document. Right. Now, we were planning a trip to China. So of course, the choice is next to my office. It's very easy to work there. So I went and told them, met a girl, lady travel agency, this lady, Tanya. Tanya, arrange us a trip for 5 of us. We want to go to China and arrange a tour for about 2 weeks tour. Everything can be done. And what are the dates? She made a reservation and said, Susanta will come and speak to you with regard to the travel arrangement and the visa arrangement, especially the visa arrangement. Susanta came to see me, said, sir, this Tanya Miss said that you are planning a trip to China in April. I will do all the visa arrangements, sir, and these are the documents needed. He had written everything and then given. Had he made the task easier for me or difficult? Come on. Easier. Rather than coming and telling me, sir, you are going to China now, you have to get the passports ready, or you have to get certified, and with the marriage certificate, and then, okay, get certified, and the certified copies of children's birth certificate, and consent letter, and the release letter from the school, and then in addition to that, okay, your funds, and what is available, the 6 months bank statement, and then all. Now, can I remember all that? No. He made the task so easier. So I went through, and after that, he's asking me, sir, any questions that you want to ask? I said, no, it's clear. Sir, when do you think that you can give me this? I said, by next Thursday, it will be ready. He said, sure, sir. Then Friday, I will hand them over. You have it ready on Thursday evening. So whatever the documents I have to prepare, I did that. Then I told my manager assistant that, okay, the other documents, you have them ready. Now, Thursday morning, first thing what Susanta had done is he had come to office, peeped in, and he had told my secretary that, Miss, that today sir is supposed to give me the documents in the evening. Just a reminder. Is it a good thing? Yes or no? Louder? Ha ha. So evening he had come, he had collected the documents, and then he calls me and says, sir, your documents are in order. Tomorrow morning I'm going to hand them over to the embassy. What happened? Next day morning, having handed over, he called me and said, sir, the documents are in order, your application was accepted. Chances of you getting visa is 95%. He never said 100%. Why? 5% is beyond his control. Everything depends on the visa officer's mood and the rest and all that, isn't it? Right. He said, sir, they wanted me to come on Thursday next, so I will go there and then find out and I'll let you know. Then Thursday he called me, around about 3:30. He said, sir, are you at a program? I said, no, I'm free. Sir, good news, congratulations. Your entire family had got the visas. Are you there in the office? I said, yes, in the evening, around about 5 o'clock. I'll come and hand over everything to you. So evening, he comes to my office so cheerfully. I could read the joy what he had in his face. And he's handing over the documents and said, sir, things are in order, all the very best, sir, single entry, so you can go and stay for 2 weeks there. And here are the documents. Just check, sir, whether everything is in order. Okay. Now, is this guy giving me a good service? What do you feel? If you are me, would you be happy with that kind of a service? Of course. Took a responsibility, fulfill everything promptly. I had a question. I said, Susanta, I had been watching the way how you're working here. So enthusiastically you do your job every day. It's just such a painful and a cumbersome job. I'm asking a question. Aren't you getting sick of your job? He said, sir, I'm surprised to hear this question from you because you are a trainer. You inspire people. And then you are asking that, aren't you getting sick of this job? No, every day now we also have to correct ourselves, isn't it? I had a learning. I asked this question in a positive way or in a negative way. Louder. Negative way. I said, sorry, Susanta, how come that you enjoy this job? You are doing this every day to so many people. And for so many years you had been doing this. And it's such a painful job. How do you enjoy this job? Just ask like that way, sir. He said, sir, now I have got the visas across to you. You are going on this tour. And you are going with your family, having worked 1 year. You are also in need of a break. And I'm sure, sir, when you go to China, when you go to Beijing, first thing what you would do is you will go and see the Great Wall of China with your family. Thereafter, Tiananmen Square, you will go. You will go and watch all those old museums. And you will go and see Mao Zedong's body at the mausoleum. Right? And you are going with children. I'm sure they love to see circus. You will go and see Chinese circus. And then thereafter, sir, you are going with the family. Shopping is one thing that you will never ever miss, sir. And you will dine, wine, enjoy your 10 days. You will be relaxed. And you will come so joyfully. And then I'll guarantee you, sir, when you are seated in your office, when you see me crossing your office, you will call me in and say, hey, Susanta, I had a wonderful holiday. These are the things what we did. And that energized me for the rest of the year to give my best to my clients. Thank you, Susanta, for doing that. I know you are going to say that. And when you say that, sir, it's going to energize me to serve my other customers with such a great enthusiasm. I know what has to be done to make your tour materialize. Having spent a wonderful holiday, when you come back and share your experiences with me, I get a tremendous joy. Me feeling that I also contributed towards your happiness energized me to serve other clients too with a great passion. This is exactly from Susanta's word. Question. Is he emotionally and intellectually involved in a unique value creation to me? Louder, yes or no? Come on. Yes. And that is so-called employee engagement. Story number 2. I was doing some work for the Sri Lanka's the largest property developer Prime Group. They had started with 3 people 25 years ago. Now today they are the largest property developer. Right. And in a solid ground financially and brand name, they have sold their lands and properties, houses, apartments, over 500,000 people in this country. So of course that they are the leader. Last year, the chairman and the co-chairman called me and said, now we had grown. We started with 3 people, now we have about 500. Company had grown. We like you to do a kind of a stay interview. What does a stay interview means? Talk to some of our people and then find out what do they feel about our company. Where can it grow from here? Just talk to them and then get a good feel about it. And give us the report. We don't want to know who said, but all what we want to know is what is being said. Right? Okay. Now that is so-called a stay interview. Hardly organizations in this country, we do this stay interview. We do exit interviews. When a guy is leaving, why are you leaving? At that time he had made up the mind to go. But we don't do stay interviews to find out from people, why are you here? And what areas do you want us to improve? What are the good things we have done? What are the areas for improvement, isn't it? Right. So they insisting on this stay interview. So I prepared 5 questions. I went and discussed with the chairman and the co-chairman, said, okay, go ahead. So the time duration we planned was with each person 45 minutes. But the lowest time I spent with a person was about 2.5 hours, and some cases for half a day I had been talking to them. They had a lot of things to do because they're so passionate about the company. And across the board with experience, non-experience, there are different kind of designation. People we interviewed, about 50. So compile, and then I went and discussed the report with the management, the top chairman and the co-chairman. We started it around about 9 o'clock and we discussed till about 9 p.m. Only 2 of them. But 12 hours we spent. Now while interviewing one guy, this guy was the second batch. 25 years ago, he had joined second batch. He had joined as just a clerical hand. Today he's an AGM. When I was interviewing him, he said a fantastic thing. He said, sir, over the last 25 years, we have grown. We have established a position in this company now, right? Highly accepted in the marketplace, and the brand value is there. And we see a great future. And we want to get there. Our wish is to see that we are getting there. Now at this point, if chairman and the co-chairman, if they feel that we are not good enough, we are not capable enough to take it to the next level, they must get rid of us. Even at the expense of losing our jobs, it's okay. They must bring the right professionalism, the right talent in, and they must take the organization where it has to go. Question, are they intellectually and emotionally involved? Yes or no? Louder? Yes. Haha, this was his fish. Our organization is now on a solid ground. It has an enormous growth potential. Although I'm a pioneer of this entity, if chairman feels I'm now incapable to take it to the next level, even at the expense of getting rid of me, he must recruit the right talent to harness the true potential of the company. That's my sincere wish to the entity. Friends, we are talking about what? Employee engagement. Your emotional and intellectual involvement in a unique value creation, this is created by its people. Dear friends, this cannot be easily copied, the keyword. It has an influence in building the organizational, come on, what? Culture. So employee engagement has an influence in building the organizational culture that is unique to that entity, which is going to be conducive in providing all those attributes what we discussed and giving that great service. Right. Now, what is culture? What is culture? A very simple way to explain this. What is culture? Again, yet another story. Like to hear stories? Yeah. You will forget me, you will forget the learning, but the stories will stay in your mind. Right? So when you understand the story, later on when you are working, the story will come to your mind and you will start doing the right thing as a startup entrepreneur. Right. Culture. Very simple. There was a friend of mine who was living in Jamaica. He had a land at Nuarelia. His plan was, he had been living there for the last 35 years, his plan was to come here at the retirement age, put a cottage there, and rest of his life to live there. He has no children either, so he and his wife wanted to do that. After COVID, he wrote to me and he said, Dhammika, life is so uncertain. We have no much plans now. We have got the citizenship here in Jamaica, having stayed for about 3.5 decades. We have no plans in coming and settle down in Sri Lanka. All what we want to do is whatever the assets we have, we want to sell and then build up a capital and travel around the world and to have that experience. And said, Nuarelia land, Dhammika, find a buyer. I'm sending you an advertisement. Publish it in a paper of your choice where the viewership is very high. So he had done Shakespeare and he had been studying in England most of the time. Father had been a diplomat. So that he had a wonderful way of writing things. So his ad itself was like a poem. When you read it, at least you want to go and see the place if you don't buy even. Beautifully it's written. So what happened now? I took a printout of that and I, of course, decided hit that. The viewership is very high to go and place it there. So I took the hit paper. I decided on a space, 8,750. These words can be accommodated there. And then, okay, can be seen, that size, good enough. So I'm going in my car on a Wednesday to hit that to hand over this ad. Now, I know they are down W.A.D. Ramanayaka Mawatha, but I didn't know what the exact number was and the location. So we went down Berry Lake there and then near State Engineering Corporation took the turn to W.A.D. Ramanayaka Mawatha and then just stopped in front of Intratraders. And the number is there. I'm calling to find out where the exact location is. So when I called the number, a girl answered. Aiboan Hitad. Is it great? Or Hitad Aiboan. Is it great? Yes. When you call a place, the first thing what the caller would like to know is, have I got to the right place? And the greeting. So Hitad Aiboan, quite energized. I said, Miss, I want to place an ad for coming Sunday Hitad. If I bring it today, is it possible to accommodate it? Sure, sir. for every Sunday's ads, we do accept it until Friday 6 p.m. In that little conversation, is there a value creation? Yes. Easiest answer would have been yes, no. But here we are. Yes, sir, for every Sunday, we keep on accepting advertisements until Friday, 6 p.m. So you're educating the customer. So now that will get registered in my mind, even on a future date, on a later date. If I'm going to take an ad, I know till Friday, 6th day, accept. So point I'm trying to drive here is when you are serving a customer, always create value, whatever the way that you could. Whatever the way that you could, create value. Right. Then I ask the next question, could you kindly tell me how to get to your ad office? The next question, sir, from where are you traveling? Is it a good question? Often when you ask somebody how to get to your office, what do people say? They tell from the place where they are coming. That's what they are familiar with. They keep on telling, this is the way from the place I am coming. So, but the guy is coming altogether from a different direction. Now, to your office, if a guy is coming from Nugegoda and a person is coming from Rajagiri, two different directions. Say now, okay, one worker is coming from Rajagiri and then he was asked how to come to your office, but the person is coming from Nugegoda. Now, this guy will tell the way how he's coming from Rajagiri, but it's all the direction. This left is your right, isn't it? And your right is his left. So, you got to find out from where are you traveling. Now, this person asked the question, from where are you traveling? I said, I'm down WAD Ramanayaka Mawatha, just opposite Indra Traders and beside SCC, directed towards municipality site. Sir, you're on the right road. Proceed. That at one location it says one way, means your car can come. And at the end of the road, you find a boatry. Take to the left turn. Then you find Selinco Hospital. And then after passing the Selinco Hospital, you find our head office. I said, oh, it's clear. So are you coming in a car? I said, yes. Sir, are you coming with a driver? I said, yes. Sir, we have 4 slots allocated for us, but at this moment of time, all 4 slots are occupied. But they're not going to stay for a long period. So once you come here, sir, sometimes those slots may be vacant. So in that case, you can get your driver to park the car there. And if not even, just ask the driver to be beside and more sooner find a slot to park the car there. Is it a great value creation? Louder, come on. Now, mind you, these things are happening in this country, the service delivery. Right. I said, thank you very much, miss. I'll be there within the next 5 minutes. So I go near Hitad office and I find all those slots are still occupied. Now what do I tell my driver? Wait for a while. You will get a place to park. Otherwise I will ask him to go around. Then what happened? When I want to get back, I have to call him. Could be his mobile is switched off. See the difficulty what the customer has to go through. So little education to the customer, see the value that created to the customer. Right. Now I walked into the head office and the counter girl says, I Bhuvan sir, how may we serve you? Is it great? Yes, first contact point there. Now sometimes what happens, when you go to a workplace, you ask, Ayyavi. In Sinhalese they ask, Ayyavi. Now I got down a Buddha statue from Thailand and I had to get it cleared. So I went to the freight forwarding company to get the delivery order. So while I was going, the guy was playing drums. The counter guy, young boy, he was playing drums. Counter. So I waited until his drum piece was over. Then he's looking at me and asking, Ayyavi. I'm going, Ayyavi, gedarihinda verihindavi. Is it the answer what he wanted? Is it the answer what he wanted? Now, so you got to ask, how may we serve you? Will you agree? So this girl was asking that. How may we serve you? I said, miss, I have an advertisement. I want to place it in this coming Sunday papers. Hit that. Oh, sure, sir. She opened the drawer and gave me a form. Sir, you can sit over there and then fill it and bring it across to me. Right. I said, thank you. I walked up to that table, sat, and I wanted to fill this. Then I find some forms there on the table. I look at it to see the same form. But now, easiest thing what this girl should have done was what? This is what often we experience. What? Sit there, there is a form, fill it and bring. Won't you experience this in this country when you go to a bank counter, you say, I am here to settle the credit card payment. What do they say? There are forms there. You fill a slip and come. So you go and fill the slip. You take up to the counter. What do they say? This is for savings account deposit. Right, okay. Not credit card, there's a different form. So you go there. Again, fill it and come. They say, this is check deposit form. Credit card, there's a form with 4 or 16 digit vacant slots. So now you have to keep on counting 60 digits and then go and search for the form. Won't it be easier just to pull the drawer, whoever you are, and to give a form? Will you agree? There are 27 banks in this country. Out of them, for 24 banks, we have done programs over the last 2.5 decades. Now, gradually, they have got used to it. Even if you go to a manager, he will have the form. He will just open it and fill it for you or give the form to you. Now, that's an easier thing. So look at things from the customer's point of view, rather going and saying, here, you fill it, bring. Waste of time. Again, you have to stand in the front of the counter. This girl opened the drawer and gave me this form. I filled it. Then thereafter, it comes to a place where entire ad has to be written. To place it in heated, you have to, entire ad, you have to write. Now what happened? I have taken a clear laser printout. Now, if I'm going to write it, it takes time. I have to write it so neatly, clearly. I cannot afford to make mistakes. It can be a comma, it can be a spell mistake. If you put a comma at the wrong place, what will happen? Will it distort the entire meaning? Yes or no? Louder? Aha. Whenever you are dealing with customers, pay enough attention to details for everything, starting from yourself, your documents, your vocabulary, your words, your spelling, your figures. You know the famous story, many of you must have heard it. Judge gave the judgment. Hang him not, release him. What happened? Judgment was written on the book. Putting the comma at the wrong place. Hang him, not release him. Can you see the power of the comma? Took a man's head off. Can you see? Hang him, not release him. Hang him. Just you put the comma wrong place, I lost the head. This was taught to me by an uncle of mine, long, long back. So now, I have to be very clear when I'm writing that. Sometimes it could be a comma, it can be a apostrophe S, where you're putting apostrophe, wherever it is. It's a wrong meaning. I live in an apartment in Colombo. These 40 apartments were being sold 20 years ago by the developer, the seller, saying that third floor is going to be the podium floor for your recreation, for your walking, recreation, for your meeting, gathering. Your family can have any parties there. That's the way how it was being sold. And it was stated by him while selling, it's for owner's use. Now, when you say owner's use, what is the feeling you get? Occupants, that is 40 people, our use. So we all looked at it and then people have bought it. After 2-3 years' time, this guy is claiming now the third floor is his floor. He wants to put up another 4 more apartments there. He said, no, at the time that you are selling, he said, owner's use. Who said that? Yes, I said owner's use. And what we thought was the post office was here, owner's use. Now the document, the legal documents say owner's use. Can you see? Will you believe? We went to court. 7 million rupees had been spent up to now, lost the case. So can you see the seriousness of the comma? While I was running a program overseas, the CEO got up and said, Dhammika, this is what happened to us. We had put the comma at the wrong place and $2 million were being lost. And we went to our legal lawyers' advice. They said, no way how of claiming it. So paying attention to details is a must. Now, in that ad my friend had written, the birds flying around the garden will often attract you. One of the sentences was that. I told you that he had done Shakespeare, so he had done the poem. Right, Gregory's Lake, the distance, when you go there, what you get. And then one of the things is the birds flying around the garden will often attract you. So while me writing it, if I put it like this, what will happen? The birds flying around the garden will often attack you. Can it happen? Yes or no? I'm in a mighty hurry. So what would be the safest thing? Without writing the ad, if I can attach what my friend had written, then it's his responsibility. Will you agree? And then he had never made any mistake there. So these people also will put it as it is clearly printed, laser printout. Now, I wanted a clarification. Without me writing it, can I attach it? Now, I go to the counter where I got the service. And when I walked up to the counter, what happened? There was a person standing in front of that counter. So I went to the second counter. And that girl also said, "I won. How may I serve you?" I said, "Miss, this ad, this space, I got this application from her. Here where I have filled the rest. Now, should I write the ad? Instead, I have a laser printout. Can I attach it?" "Sure, sir, you bring it." "I will accept it and paste it, sir. But here the other places, all you write, fill, and sign." So I walked back to the desk, fill it. Now I'm coming to the second counter, occupied. There was a customer in front of her. So I go to the third counter. "I, Bhuvan, sir, how may I serve you?" "Miss, I have an advertisement to be placed." "Where?" "On Sunday next." "Hit that." "Sure, sir." She went through the advertisement. She cut that little piece there, the ad, pasted on her own. She never asked me the question, "So you have to write it and bring." Then I say, "No, that girl said that, no, it's not needed." Then you better go and give it to that counter. Often does that happen? That's a thesis often. Now here, what do you find? You find consistency. You find consistency in everything at every counter, the service I was experiencing. Is it great? Then she went through the advertisement and she's saying, "Sir, you have brought this ad Wednesday before 1 o'clock. Chances of it appearing on the right side of the page is 95%. Since it is quite a kind of an important ad, we can highlight in color yellow. And sir, there isn't an extra charge." I said, "Sure, you can do that." Then she's asking me, "Sir, have you decided on a size? I said, "Yes, that 8,750. And she said, "Right, sir. That is the ideal size. We call it 20 by 3. Now, that is their language. Now, customer is talking language, what he can understand. I saw in the papers, 8,750. But for there, it's 30 by 3 or 60 by 3 or whatever it is. Will you agree? Now, next thing is, you must make your communication so clear to the customer. Speak the language what the customer understands. You come to this hotel, what's the room charge? $150 plus. Now, God knows what those pluses are. Because at the end of the day, everything is minus from your pocket. Will you agree? So instead, why don't they tell, this is the exact amount that you got to pay, isn't it? And now you go. Now, I'm organizing a wedding to a friend of mine. A daughter is getting married. And they said, it was 7,600 plus, but now there is another plus. Now, what that plus? No, there's another 2.5, some extra tax that had come in. Generation, what do you call it? Nation building tax or whatever it is, something is there. So, but custom would like to know the final figure. So, speak the language what the customer understands. Isn't it? My mother is a retired English teacher, 83 years old. She goes to the bank branch, the place where she is living. And this counter person had been saying, the usual credit that is coming to your account is not there. There had been so many debits during the month. And do you know, madam, what those debits, and then why is that the usual credit is not there? Now, lady who is 83 years old, dementia had started, will you agree? And on top of that, she is an English teacher, not a commerce teacher. Would she understand what debit credit is? No. Then she is asking me when I went to see her, what's wrong with that bank, that branch? Have you done programs? I said, yes. Maru puthe putanam program kala thina vidiyatanta, isn't it? Me loke deyak mata therunne kiyapuwa. Now, when you go there, what does she want to know? Want to find out, madam, how much you want to withdraw? This is the amount that is available. So this amount you can withdraw. Will you agree? You must speak the language what the customer understands. Make it so simple. My mentor, Mr. Deepasura is here today. I am doing this presentation thanks to him. 25 years ago, he's the person who identified my talent and groomed me to come up to this level. I'm honored to do it in front of him, right? And we were working in an insurance company. So we had these policies, big documents printed in small letters. Would we read it? Now, he brought a concept at that time. Therena Sinhaleng. Entire thing is summarized in simple words and then one sheet. So when you read it, you know in a nutshell what you are going to get. That's what you as an entrepreneur startup think how well that you could make things so simple to the customer. Will you agree? That's what you have to do. So now this girl, when I said 8750, yes. And then she said, thereafter, this is what we say. And say, sir, thoragana size ideal. Your size is ideal for this ad. Now, endorsing the customer's decision. Good decision, good decision. That's what customer feels happy. Then what happened? She did the calculation, all that, and said, sir, your amount 8,750, how do you pay? That is by card or cash. I said, card. We accept any card, sir. You can give any card. So I give the card. She walks up to the cashier, takes the receipt, walks up to me. First she gave me the credit card. Thereafter my slip. Thereafter the invoice. Finally she got her little invoice signed by me. Is it great? See the attention to detail. Often when you go to a place and when you settle from the credit card, what is the first thing they do? They get their slip signed. Will you agree? That's the most important thing for them. They get their slip signed. Thereafter, they will give the invoice. Thereafter, if they feel like, they'll give the slip. Sometimes they keep the card with them. That happened to me in a leading place just 2-3 weeks ago. And following day, I was flying overseas. And what happened? Left the card with them. Now, then after walking about 2-3 meters, I realized, did I collect the card? Card was inside the folder. First, you must give what is important to the customer, the card. Then his slip, the invoice. Then finally get your thing signed. See the detail. I said, thank you very much. And then now she's giving me a little note. This is your reference number. This is our contact number. If you really want to clarify anything about this ad, feel free to contact me round the clock and give this reference number. Is it a great service? Louder. Yes. Okay. Sir, for every Sunday's ad, we are accepting it until Friday 6 p.m. What was being initially said by the receptionist when I call, it gets repeated at the final place too where I got the service. Is it great? Louder. Friends, consistently, did I get a great service? Over the phone, counter number 1, counter number 2, counter number 3. Agreed. Now my question is, how are they delivering this kind of a service? I am a service trainer. I want not the action. What led them to act like that? If you just take the action per se, depending on the person, you will be giving the service. But this service has to be given consistently to everybody at every point of interaction. That is the most crucial thing. So I want to find out how come that they are having this consistently at every counter where I had an interaction. I'm very sensitive to service, as Kirti knows about me. Now, I asked a question from this girl. I asked, Miss, I want to speak to your manager. Is he in? Yeah, sure, sir, he's there. I'll open the door from that, then you can come. She quite boldly went and opened the door. Generally, what happened when you ask, can I speak to your manager? Wait, I have to get permission from here and come. You go and ask. Here, that gentleman is there to meet you. You say, hey, if they ask for me, say that I am not there, you get covered yourself. Haven't you all ever experienced this kind of thing? When the manager gets hidden, first, what will happen? Then second time, the assistant manager will get hidden. Third time, executive will get hidden. Finally, the counter guy, whenever see a customer is coming, they will go under the table. Now, manager, you must be in a position to go and boldly face. What's happening? He's a manager. Isn't it? So, just without even permission, open the door. I walked and stood in front of his room. And from the door, he saw a person is standing. He just cheerfully came, opened the door and said, I, Bhuvan, come in. He just pulled the chair for me to sit. And he said, how may I serve you? Now, the fifth contact point also I'm experiencing the same. Right. I said, there's nothing that you can do. Everything what I wanted, I really got it. I'm here to compliment. Your service is excellent. That's what I do. Me as a service trainer, wherever I get a good service, I go and give it a pat on the back and say, great service, keep up the good work, going. When the service is bad, demand, fight, scream. Mostly what do you experience in this country? First one or the second one? Huh? Second one. As a result, my wife and the children are dead scared to go out with me. So the moment I pull up something, my elder son used to say those days, here, he's going to start, let's get into the car and wait until he finishes and come. Then they call me and say, now enough, rest, you better go and stay in your programs. Okay, I don't stay in your program. Come, otherwise those guys will hit you, and we are not there. You got to demand. Wherever you go, if the service is not right, demand. Now, this morning I came here, the table was unclean. The cover, what they have done is unclean. I said, remove it, replace it. That's Shwasa. So you have to demand. Especially today, this paying attention to detail, you got to demand. So service was great. I said, I'm here to compliment. Then I happened to give my card. He looked at it and said, this is Dhammika Kalapuge, the person who does training on customer service. Yes, but I'm not here to canvas a training for you. In fact, you all are doing something more than what we teach in our programs. I am here to find out, how do you give this kind of a service? This was my experience over the phone, counter number 1, counter number 2, counter number 3, and finally when I walked up to you two, this is the service I got. How do you give this kind of a service? His answer was very simple. He said, Metana tamai, meka tamai metana vada kerena vidiya. Vidiya. In Sinhalese he said, meka tamai metana ape vada kerena vidiya. What is that vidiya? Give me a word. Process. Say it louder. This is our culture. Thank you for saying that. Now, at every point you try to create value to the customer. Taking customers' interests are paramount, important in your heart. Go that extra mile, stretch yourself to the maximum, and do that. And that is so-called service culture. Culture. Now, what is the definition in culture? Very simplified way in customer service, the definition. Everybody in the entity consistently trying to create a unique experience of value that is highly appreciated by all stakeholders. Not only the customer, by all stakeholders. You as a startup entrepreneur, you must think about all the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? Come on, number 1, customer. Number 2, your staff. Number 3, your suppliers. Number 4, the owners. And number 5, the government. How are we going to create that? So are you clear about the future of a business lies in the ways in which how we create customer experience plus employee engagement. And this will create a customer service excellence culture. Customer service excellence culture. Right. Clear? Yeah. So future of the business, you've got to think about this person, the center of attraction, the customer. What value are we going to create? To do that, you must create a great customer experience. I explained the difference between service and the experience. And then about employee engagement. Your emotional and intellectual involvement in a unique value creation to the customer, and that will create a great customer service excellence culture. And culture is also being explained. Dear friends, now customer service excellence culture that will provide a genuine customer care. The latest 3 words I learned this year was GCC, genuine customer care. You are not doing it for the sake of doing it. You are doing it with a lot of feel. And to do that, you need authenticity, belongingness, proactivity, and passion. Authenticity. You need not do it for the sake of doing it. You must do it wholeheartedly. And then belongingness. You must work wherever you work as if this is my own business. Agreed? And then thirdly, proactive. Think ahead. Think ahead. What kind of a thing I should do to create value? Not that when it had happened, but before that, think, what should I do proactively? And finally, be passionate about doing it. What is passion? You must have a kind of a extraordinary enthusiasm to do it. I gave enough stories to realize that. Right. Okay. To endorse this, I'll give one story and then we'll summarize and finish the program. COVID hit us on the 14th of March 2020. And curfew was declared indefinitely. What happened? The first wave was controlled very well. And we were the second best country who managed to control the first wave so very well in the entire world. What happened? Decided to open up the markets on the 1st of June. Curfew was lifted, and then organizations were given the green light to start up the operation. Galadari Hotel, Flavors Restaurant, is a place where we often patronize. They have the kind of food which we eat often. I get a call on the 1st, round about 10 o'clock, from its captain, a guy called Varavita. Hi, sir. Hi, Bon, sir. How are you doing, sir? You all right now during the trouble period? I said, yes. Sir, any one of you who are known to you, they get infected with this? I said, no. I think, sir. Yeah, everybody was careful, sir. Good, sir. Sir, good news. We have opened up the restaurant from today. So lunch and dinner is available, sir. We have taken every precaution to see that it's no infections, that feel free to drop in, sir. I said, oh, great, Varavita. Tomorrow is the second, our wedding anniversary day, and definitely we will come for dinner. Oh, what a great thing, sir. Anxiously looking forward to welcome you for dinner. Now, continuously for about 3 months, we were at home, and we never couldn't go out. So I was telling my wife and my son, hey, this Galadari, our favorite restaurant, Flavors, open. Shall we go out for dinner tomorrow? Are they open? Yes, I said, they have taken every precaution, so nothing to worry, we'll go. Right, decided. Following day, 12 o'clock, I'm getting a call in the afternoon. Hi, sir, Varavita here from Flavors, Galadari. We are expecting you in the evening, sir. I said, yes, we have decided to come around about 8:30, we'll be there, sure. We go there, hotel was virtually empty. Nobody was there. See a place which is so crowded, nobody was there. Can you see? And we were the only party to that hotel. We found parking just in front of the hotel and we walked in. Not a soul. Though a couple of staff were there in the other restaurant. No. So we go to Flavors and they greeted us. Happy anniversary, madam. Happy anniversary. Please do come in. Having had a meal, they asked, sir, are you ordering for a dessert? I said, we are full. Well, let's avoid that. So let's wait for a while. Then he brings a cake. Leave it on the table. What is the message? Happy anniversary. And then he asked my wife and me to cut it. And they clapped, two of them. Happy anniversary. Now, the bill comes. For the food what we have ate, the bill was 3,800. I know very well this cake is about 4,000 rupees there. And no bill for that. Will you agree? Would you believe? No bill. We were the only party who were dining in that hotel at that moment of time. And what we have consumed is 3,800. And here we are. The cake could have been easily about 4,000 rupees. No bill for that at all. Finally, I said, hey, Varavita, I'll pay for the cake. No, sir. Now the balance is packed. You take it home and enjoy, sir. And it's an eggless cake, sir, ribbon cake, where you can keep it in the refrigerator and use for about a week. So I said, oh, we feel bad now. No guests. No, it's perfectly all right. It's a pleasure that you came here. Here is my question. Will he get fired from the food and beverage or the GM of Galadari the next day for doing this? No business. After a long time, here we open it. And they had dined only 3,800 rupees worth of food. And in addition to that, you had given here we are, 4,000 cake free loss. We are going to cut that 4,000 rupees from your service charge at the end of the month, or probably could be from your salary. Would they take that stand? No. Okay. Why did he do that? With the mic. Sound is there? What's your name, sir?
I'm Ravin.
Yes, Ravin. Why did he do that, Ravin?
Yeah, so basically he wanted to create a customer service, and nowadays it's all about word of mouth, and you've been one of the best trainers in the country. Yeah, okay. And basically you will definitely tell other people also to come. Yes, that day there's only one member, but there will be more people coming in, and the same service will be giving to the other participants and the other patronizers of the hotel. And then they will definitely get back into business in about a month's time.
Okay. So that's what I'm doing right now here also, isn't it? Good, Ravin. Okay. Genuine appreciation. People are scared to come to the hotel though they had opened. He knew this guy was so bold enough to come along with the family. That's a great thing. And what will happen, despite the fact that I'm a trainer or meeting people, he will go and share this experience with others. And what will happen as a result, people will start patronizing the hotel. So means there's a thing called SMI. All the SMEs must realize there's a thing called an SMI. What is SMI? A strategic marketing investment, where Deepal had taught us long back. Strategic marketing investment. Today, you are incurring a loss for a future gain. When you start up new to introduce your product, maybe to introduce your services, you got to do that. Will you agree? Strategic marketing investment. What happened? I was writing a series of articles to Daily FT during that time, post-COVID, how are we going to serve? And the next week, this was my article, the case study. And as Ravenu rightly said, since then, when I want to drive this genuine customer care, this is the story what I'm sharing here as well as overseas. Isn't it? Right. I said, stand there. The two guys who were working, Varavita and Milton, I took a photograph of them. Right. Story number 2. I started at 9:50, 9:45 I'll finish. Yeah, 1.5 hours I got it. Yeah. Deepal, you don't mind, no? No, that's just 10 minutes more. Right. Okay. Story number 2. I was putting up a house. Then, architect recommended me a particular type of a solar heater. And he gave me the contact. They are the only people who are getting it down from Germany. I contacted this guy. He sent me the brochures. And he came to see me. He made a presentation. He visited the site. And he said, sir, now this is not the right time to fix it. There's such a lot of other work to be done. And he sent the quotation. I said, okay, approved. Took my visiting card too. And he said, sir, you are very busy. I will coordinate with the electrician, the plumber, and the main contractor. And when the time is right, I will go and install it. Right. He had sent me the quotation. I had just said, okay, just an email. Nothing even in writing. I had given only an email, not signature, nothing. One day my contractor calls me and says, sir, yesterday those geyser guys came and they fixed the geyser on the top of the roof. Right. I said, what? Yeah, they did it. Tested, it's working fine. Now, they have not informed me about installation. More than anything, I'll be happy they have done it. I have not paid anything. I wanted to find out what made him to do this. I called this sales guy. He never called me, I called him. He said, yesterday you had come to my premises and fixed. Yes, sir, I didn't want to disturb you, sir. I thought of calling you during the weekend. So I was coordinating with the plumber and the electrician and the contractor. They said, now the time is right. So we went and installed it there. And it's in working order. All the documents with regard to warranty and the rest, I will come and give it to you at a time which is free for you. Now, he's willing to work according to whose agenda? Customer's agenda. The most crucial thing today is we got to look at customers' convenience. When somebody asks you, what would be the best time or what would be the time that you can come and see me? You ask the question, what would be the most convenient time for me to come and see you, sir? Your convenient time. We must work according to their convenience. But often when you go to a place, how do they work? According to whose convenience? The service provider's convenience. Will you agree? It that got into our DNA now. All the time we think about our convenience and not your convenience. And it's a very famous story that I share, and pardon me to share this story. My father is a diabetic patient. He takes these metformin tablets. I went to a pharmacy to get the metformin tablet, and I gave the prescription. What happened? He put the tablets into a shopping bag and then folded the prescription and put it in. Then NCR machine, he put the figures. Then what happened? I gave 1,000 rupees. Now he's supposed to give me what? 22 rupees balance, minus 22. He gave me 20 rupees, and what did he do the next? Come on, he had a toffee bag beside him. He took 2 toffees and put to that bag where the pills were there. Yeah, right. Metformin tablets and then 2 toffees too. Now I said, come on, my balance is 22 rupees. You had given only 20. No, sir, the 2 toffees? I said, I didn't buy toffees. No, sir. Now we don't have rupee and 2 rupee coins, sir. So for that we are giving toffees. I said, why? No, now, sir, central bank is not sending coins anymore, no, sir. So therefore toffees. I said, central bank instead coins, are they sending you toffee bags now then? No, sir, at least that we gave, no, sir, you must appreciate at least. I said, okay, in that case, you take the prescription and write how to take these toffees. After taking the diabetic pill, you take a toffee, or take the pill and take the toffee and then have the diabetic pill. Or take the pill or diabetic pill or the toffee and the diabetic pill. Can you see? All of you may have trouble. You trust me. And I'm sure my mentor, Deepal, will agree with me. Sri Lanka is the only country in the world for balance they give toffees. I do not know from there they have learned it. Now in Japan, you cannot do a thing with a yen. You know yen, you can't do a thing. If you just buy a toffee, 80 yens. If you just have a cup of tea, 350 yens. If you buy a bun, 500 yens. Just a meal is 2,500 yens. But they respect this currency and they respect the customer. To the last yen, they give you the balance. If you go to a supermarket and give a big note, they just key it in, then they have a machine, and it comes, even the yen is there. Even manual transaction to the last yen they give. You know why? They feel if we do not settle the customer to the last yen, we are cheating the customer. They value that. They value that, my dear friends. I'll guarantee you, if Japan, if they know that we are giving yens instead, or we are giving toffees instead of yens, okay, to settle something, they will never give us the 8 package that is on our way. Why? Because they will think these guys will keep on sending toffee containers as the installment. And not the money. Will you agree with me? Isn't it? Right. Now see. So, believe me, my dear friends, you must work according to the customer's convenience. You got to arrange that from right at the beginning, or round it off to the advantage of the customer. If you cannot give change, round it off to the customer's advantage. You or your systems, all that must work in a manner we are rounding off to the customer's advantage, not to our advantage. Okay. So now this guy said, I was planning to come and see you at your convenience. Okay. I told that guy, you had fixed it without me making any kind of a payment. Now I got my product. No, I'm not going to settle you at all. So the worst what you can do is you will come and remove it. I'm going to put an entry to the police, trespass, prohibited. You cannot just come and take items in my house. Okay, I'm not going to settle you. I'm not going to settle you. He says fixed, I'm not going to settle you. He said, Mr. Kalapuge, I know that it's not going to happen. I said, how do you know that? When I met you first, you gave your visiting card. I came to my office. I went through your website. And I realized the type of work what you do. You are teaching people to do the right thing. So surely you will set an example for that. And I know under any circumstances, you will never ever stay without paying it. I know the man whom I am dealing with. Therefore, I wanted to create value. Proactively, I want to go and do this for you at your convenience to collect the money from you. I said, you send somebody home now, I will give you cash. Now see. My dear friends, customer service excellence culture which provides a genuine customer care, GCC, that's a word. And through authenticity and belongingness, proactivity and passion. Do you find it? Yes or no? Right. Finally, our learning. Today, if you really want to make a distinctly sustainable differentiation, products can be copied by the competitors. Delivery mechanisms can be copied because they are tangibly seen, heard. What you cannot copy, if you really want to make a distinctly sustainable differentiation, DSD called excellent customer experience culture. And how can you do that? Created by employees, culture. And then cultures are created by employees, and then through employee engagement, drives action in customer service, delivery excellence, and then caring excellence. And provided each and every touch point will create a great customer experience, customer journey start to the end, and helps ongoing relationship. Now the crucial word is delivery excellence and caring excellence. And that is what creates this customer experience culture. Dear friends, what is excellence? It's a moving target. Whatever you go and see today as the best is never going to be best tomorrow. Look at that example what we took. Different kind of things at different times they are doing to exceed the customer's expectations. Continuously they were doing it. The two clips what I showed you first. So see, realize the fact. Excellence is a moving target. Perhaps the simplest concept of excellence is striving after perfection. A perfection which perhaps can never be achieved. This suggests that excellence is a moving target. As you achieve one peak of performance, others appear ahead, demanding further steps towards perfection. And also, owing to customer experience modifies expectations. Customer experience modifies expectations. Now, today you have experience with me. So this modifies your expectations. What is going to happen next got to be much more exciting than this. Will you agree? So that modifies your expectations. Whenever you go to a place, when you have a service experience, next day when you go to another place, you benchmark with the previous days, the great experience what you had. Now when you fly with Singapore Airlines or Emirates, you know the experience what you get. When you check into the hotel, that's so hot in your mind, and when you check into the hotel, you expect the same experience there in that hotel, or even something more than that. So your experience modifies expectation. The reason being the world is changing very, very fast. Look at it. 1975, this was identified accidentally in a space mission. There's a way of cellular communication. Came to the marketplace in 1983, and 1988 we had it in Sri Lanka. My dear friends, the price of the unit was 200,000 rupees. Monthly rental was 10,000 rupees. Incoming call was just 160 rupees. Outgoing call was 200 rupees. Every hour was a peaker. But today you know how simple it is, isn't it? It's a toy. Mama, where are you? Feeling hungry? With whom are you? Bring some stuff and come home soon, isn't it? Experience modifies expectations. So excellence is a moving target. Whatever you fix today, don't ever be there. You got to keep on improving it. Right. Finally, understand, you as an entrepreneur, you have to satisfy the basic need. For that, you need a kind of an excellent product. No point you having that. You got to have the ability to deliver. You got to have the people in place, the system in place to physically deliver it. And then this part everybody will do. But the extra what we have to do is we have to win the heart of the customer, which has to be done through an excellent customer experience culture, which we had been talking. And that will keep the customer with you through an ongoing relationship. Keeping your existing customers is 8 times cheaper than going behind a new customer. And leads to build a trust. And when you build a trust, what happens? 2 things. Your staff energy level will go up and loyalty will be enhanced. So when you trust the customer, loyalty and lifetime value. Right. Finally, let me wind up with this clip. Now we are talking about a techno-driven society, economy. Are we going to leave everything to tech? And then are we going to be away with the human touch? My dear friends, tech to touch. Use technology to capture customers' attention and strengthen our connection. Take the technology part. Yes, it is needed to enhance the effectiveness, efficiency. Use that. But never ever lose the touch. My account yesterday had a big issue with this bank. They had run the credit card settlement twice. As a result, due date, my account had got debited twice. So this thing had happened some time back. Yesterday was the free day where I was taking it up with the bank. Then when I took it up, they realized, hey, 67,000 rupees of a refund we got to make. Now, until customer pointed it out, they didn't even realize it. And there again, I didn't know what the amount is. Then again, I asked, no, check the March statement, 300,000 rupees I have paid for my credit card. It cannot be that much. Maximum could be 200,000. And they, from 4:15 until 5 o'clock, over the phone, this girl was sorting out, said, Mr. Kalapuge, it seems that we need more time. Now, since I pointed it out, it had come out. Now, up to date, I do not know how much extra they have charged. I said, okay, have all the statements ready. I'm going to come out with one of the auditors and then to sit and see how many months it had happened. Now, If that happening me means it will happen to so many other customers also. Will you agree? Isn't it? Running twice. And others may have not noticed it. Or some may have noticed and rectified. So leaving everything to system and washing your hands, pretty dangerous. You do that trial run. Now we are going to have this fuel scheme, isn't it? That on the later scheme operating from first. Now they are doing trials, and then yesterday it said 700 places they have done it and it had been proven successful. So then only you have to go ahead with that. So please don't ever leave everything to take and wash your hands off. Watch this clip and something Google created just 3 or 4 years ago. Wonderful clip. Though you don't understand Hindi, you will understand the message.
ये मैं, ये यूसुफ, लंगोटिया यार सी मेरा। लाहौर में हमारे घर के सामने एक बड़ा बाग था। उस बाग का गेट बाबा आदम के जमाने। रोज शाम को हमने वहाँ पतंगे उड़ानी और उसके बाद जाके यूसुफ की दुकान से झझरिया चुरा के खानी।
झझरिया?
मेरा साहब नमस्ते। नमस्ते। मेरी पोती मुंबई वाली।
नमस्ते।
की तंग गली फिर से कूद फांदे छोटी छोटी मीठी चोरी गांठ लेके बांधे।
हेलो अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
फाजिल स्वीट्स?
हाँ जी। दादाजान, दिल्ली से किसी की कॉल है।
हेलो।
यूसुफ अंकल?
कौन?
जी मैं सुमन बोल रही हूँ दिल्ली से, आपके बचपन के दोस्त बलदेव जी की पोती। याद है बचपन में आप दोनों झझरिया चुरा के खाते थे?
बचपन की तंग गली फिर से कूदे फांदे छोटी छोटी मीठी चोरी गांठ लेके बांधे। एक पतंग सा उड़ता था परिंदों की तरह, परिंदों की तरह, परिंदों की तरह। एक दौर था मन मन मोर था, एक दौर था मन मन मोर था।
पार्टीशन के वक्त हम रातों रात हिंदुस्तान आ गए।
दादू?
यूसुफ दी बड़ी आजादी।
कागजों की कश्तियों में डूबा रहता था, झांकती खिड़कियों में उलझा रहता था। वो भी क्या दौर था, मन पे न जोर था। एक दौर था मन मन मोर था, एक दौर था मन मन मोर था।
भैया थोड़ा जल्दी।
हाँ जी। कौन? हैप्पी बर्थडे यारा। यूसुफ वो यूसुफ मेरे बल्लू यूसुफ यार।
You understood the story. This guy who is in Delhi, the grandfather of that girl, shows an old photograph and said, "This is me, this is Yusuf." So many years ago, we had been living both together in Lahore. And near Lahore, there was an ancient old gate. Near the gate, there was a park where we used to go and fly kites. And then what happened? When we feel tired, Yusuf and myself go to Yusuf's father's sweet shop. And we used to steal jaggeria. What is jaggeria? It's an Indian sweet. And we used to steal and then eat. Wonderful time we had. India, Pakistan separated. Yusuf decided to stay there. I came here. Oh, this photograph. How nice if I can see him before I die. Now, this has been heard by the granddaughter who are tech savvy. Is there any way how to bring this reunion together? What happened? Browse and find out. Old Gate, Lahore. Near that, the sweet shop, Fazal Sweets. Call Yusuf uncle, I are there. And then granddaughter and grandson, Yusuf's grandson. They organized this trip, surprising this gentleman who is in Delhi. And in the process, what do? They use tech. Reservation, visa, and even when the girl is going to pick, the granddaughter is going to pick them from the airport, check Google to see. Now check the weather report, and accordingly, that guy, the grandson, gets anyone an umbrella prepared, and then here we are. Calls to see if flight had landed. And ask the taxi driver, hurry up. And they bring and make this reunion. So you need the tech, use it by the younger generation, you when you are entrepreneurs, how well that you could strengthen the touch. And research is proving now, after COVID, you need the customer service more and more. In the US research, they say now customers are expecting 56% more than what they had been expecting before. Right? So many reasons are being given. I'm not here to do that. So finally, I will end up with these 3 guiding principles in customer service. Supun Veerasinghe, Dialogue CEO, and he says, outside in, empathy. That is, your good interests are in my heart and I become a part to resolve it. Look at the problem from the customer's eye, not from your eyes. Step in. Teamwork is needed and leadership without a title. When you really want to give a service, assume what Varavita did. Just think what Varavita did. Leadership without a title. You have this opportunity to create value, get the best out of it, and create a memorable impression there. And the next is what? End-to-end. That ensure problem is solved fully, not on your part. Many a time what we do is, what I have to do, I have done. And then the rest, I do not know what happened. It went from here, but I do not know what happened. When you ask for a delivery issue, what do? We have delivered from here. But nobody is there to do the follow-up to see if the customer had got it in proper shape, on time. Will you agree? So, end-to-end. The book which I am writing, Deepal had been telling me to write for the last 10 years, now I am doing that. And here we are, in this I have written, never ever give a customer a cake which is half-baked, because customer will end up getting a stomach ache. If you give a half-baked cake to a customer, now often we give half-baked solutions to a customer, no. So never ever give a customer a cake which is half-baked, because customer will end up getting a stomach ache. So you must see that from beginning to the end, everything is followed up and then properly solution is being given. Finally, dear friends, the learning in summary, the future of a business lies in the ways in which how we create a great customer service excellence culture that happens with customer experience plus employee engagement, which provides a GCC, a genuine customer care. And to do that authenticity, that genuinely you must get involved with it and then create that value to the customer. Belongingness, wherever you work, you've got to work with the feeling that business is owned by me, and you've got to be proactive and passionate. That's the end of the presentation. Okay, right. Now, so many things have been discussed over the last hour and 35 minutes. They all are really too much for 1.5 hours presentation. There would have been something that really, truly touched your heart. Perhaps it could be a sentence, a word, a letter, comma, or a dot. Take that along with you. And based on that single learning point, try and make a difference. Try and make a difference in whatever you are going to do. You make the difference to yourself. Try and make a difference to ones whom you are going to interact with. Try and make a difference to your entity, by and large, to the society and to the country where we live. And with that, we have to enhance the service standards. Okay, thanks. Deepal is here today, you know. Entrepreneurship, I have become an entrepreneur, and he made me an entrepreneur. I had the opportunity of working for him since 1993 until about 1998. So I was working under him. Directly, I was reporting to him. And I was a person that time, I'm giving you confidence, that's why I'm talking, who couldn't stand in front of and speak 4 words. Butterflies in stomach, throat goes dry, lips start shivering. But he guided me, groomed me, and then made me an entrepreneur today. So this is my full-time business. Go around and then keep on delivering lectures. So by listening to Deepal, you'll get a lot of confidence for you to become an entrepreneur and a successful entrepreneur. Thank you very much for listening to me. See you someday, somewhere again. Thank you.
Wow, that's amazing. Actually, I have no words to tell how amazing it's. I love the way you concluded the session, your session. That's simply amazing. I'm really sorry, my words are really, truly inadequate to tell how glorious your session was. And especially I love the way you concluded. It's actually filled with humanity, how humanity is, mingled with technology. And it should be one of the bases of our, we as young entrepreneurs, we need to know how we're going to change the structural changes in the socio-economic system. So Mr. Deepan's, perspective, that dimension, I'm pretty sure it should be one of the dimensions and basis of whatever the innovative model that we're going to create. And we are super certain that we're going to create that model in order to rebuild. We are in the process of rebuilding our economy, and that's no doubt. And this input is super phenomenal. So, and also, you know what? Like, he's super busy, and also, like, I should be really, really grateful to you, sir, accepting our invitation. And when I talked to him, he was on the way to the airport. And then we talked, and he was in abroad, and then came back, and soon he joined our session on honorary basis. So we are really grateful to sir. So we have a small token of appreciation. So I would like to invite Mr. Kirti once again to present the token of appreciation. Mr. Dhammika, please appear on the stage.
I like to have a word of appreciation for Dhammika. Dhammika is my long-term friend. I know he's a person who's into detail. Mama Singalen kiyanna poddak. ඒ දවස්වල මට මතකයි ධම්මික වැඩ කරන කාලවල වල ධම්මිකගේ බොස්ලා කීප දෙනෙක්වා මගේ යාළුවෝ. ධම්මිකට වැඩක් දුන්නාම ඒ කාලේ අපි ෆෝම්ස් print කරේ artwork, no digitalization, nothing. But Dhammika is a person who writes everything perfectly and and he's a guy who goes to the last detail. So he gave you a lot of messages in his speech. I believe in one thing, I've been, doing the same thing. If anything goes wrong in my organization, any job is wrong, I go to meet the customer. So I always not only solve the problem, bring more business also. So that gives a greater confidence to my workers, and they also think we are with a boss, always goes with us. So that's the kind of thing he mentioned once. Even if your people go start copy and do your business, the same model somebody repeats. It happens to me few times. My organization, when we are doing well, people come and take people. They do the same product. But of course, the kind of service, kind of touch we have been having all the time cannot be given by somebody else. So therefore, this is something very good for you guys. Please remember all that and be good entrepreneurs.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for your kind words. So now quickly, I'll give you a few minutes for morning refreshments. You can take about 10 minutes, and then quickly we'll move on to Mr. Deepan's session. I'm really sorry about, we have a very, very strict and very tight schedule today. So however, we need to manage time, and so kindly take 10 minutes. So you will have the break now.